does. Search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. We're dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. You search but you stay lost. We're reaching for the stars. We're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. Reaching for the stars. I wonder where you are. Oh.
I need you again, so stick around. So stick around.
You're the one I want. Say you need me. Hide away now. Don't let go. I know you feel the same. Say you need me. 'Cause you'll always be my broken love. Broken love. Broken love. Broken love. 'Cause you'll always be my broken love. Cause you'll always be my broken love. You're so don't let go. You'll always be my broken love. They don't know how we love when we're letting close. With you, I know I belong. Without all eyes on us, you're the one I want. Say you need me. Hide away now. Don't let go. I know you feel the same. Say you need me. 'Cause you'll always be my broken love. Broken love. Broken love. Broken love. 'Cause you'll always be my broken love. Cause you'll always be my broken love. You're so say you need me. Don't let go. I know you feel say you need me. 'Cause you'll always be my broken love. We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. Search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Baby, you should take it slow. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Baby, you should take it slow. We're dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. Search but you stay lost.
Search for you, stay on.
We're reaching for the stars. We're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Baby, you should take it slow. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Baby, you should take it slow.
Good morning, or good afternoon for some. How y'all doing today? We'll put this up for right now because we really don't need it. That's Law and Crime sitting back there, and they got some beeping noise going on. How's everybody doing today? You guys having a good day today? How long do you guys think Leilani will be sentenced for? This is for Quentin Simon. Leilani Simon, she's getting sentenced today. Y'all think she's gonna get life? Here, let's do a poll. We gotta do a poll. Oh shit. I was trying to check to see if this was on, but it's got some weird ass beeping noise. I don't know what the fuck this noise is, but I'm glad we got it muted because listen to this. You hear that? And there ain't no way we're gonna listen to that beeping fucking noise like that. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Yeah, I was gonna say Nana's love. It's gonna be pretty hard on her. It's gonna be tough on her for a while, you know. It really sucks that she's even got to go through all this, but you know it's just really shitty. Just really shitty all the way around, you know. As always, 3M. As always, baby. We know that. It's the only way. It's the only way she's gonna get any coin. Come on, baby. Come on now. I mean, honestly, if she respected or gave any kind of fuck about Quentin Simon, she would be doing it herself. She'd be running her own thing, her own stream. You know, I'm not sure if death penalty's on the table or not. Actually, I don't know. Wonderlusting gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Wonderlusting. I appreciate that. Oh, she got a puppy. That's what's up. I didn't know that. Oh, here, and let me go ahead and correct you real fast while we have time, Chewy. The screenshot that I edited out of my live stream is only because I had a screenshot, like a picture over the top of the Discord, which was not had nothing to do with anybody in the Discord, because again, I didn't get them from somebody in Discord. I sent them to somebody in Discord. I sent them to someone else. They didn't send them to me, just so you know, just to make that clear. You think she should get life without parole if no death penalty? I don't know. I think it'll be hard on her mom if she gets the death penalty. No, not when I'm busy. No, I'm not. No, I'm trying to get this set up, and I don't know why it's taken so fucking long to get this going. Let's see here. Amy H, thank you for being a member for 2 months. Bama G, thank you for becoming a new member. I appreciate you, love. Thank you, thank you. Death penalty isn't on the table. Well, I'm glad it's not, to be honest. Because that's going to be hard, you know? That's going to be super hard. Life without parole is more than likely what she'll get, in my opinion. And I got to keep this kind of muted because my birds are going nuts. So, yes, little Boston. She seems to think because I had this picture over, because I had that screenshot and I had taken it over the top of the Discord, that it was because of this one girl. No, I sent them to her to ask if she knew about it. It wasn't the other way around. You think she'll get 25 years, Tammy? I don't know, man. I don't know. With the malice murder, that I think she'll probably get, like they said, life without parole. I know she thinks she fucking knows everything. This shit cracks me up. Yeah, they are. Firefly, you know they are. Come on now. Come on now. Well, I mean, you know, that's why they're in there having a panic attack right now, right? That's what they're doing. Come on now. We're just waiting on them to get in here, which, you know, it takes them forever anyways, but they were talking in the courtroom. So you could hear them like talking back and forth, which I'm kind of glad they took that off of there because you could hear everything they were saying, to be honest. And we'll leave that up for when they start. Miss Running Bear, how are you, love? Let me see here. Coming on my other cellular. Coming on my cellular device. Darcy Miller, the birds need treats like the doggies. Oh, you're so sweet. Appreciate that, love. I know they'll definitely appreciate it. Doesn't start till 1:30. It starts at 12:30 my time, is what it says. Let's see, Pearl. She still isn't admitting anything though, so she's life without. Well, I figured she'd try to do an appeal. Honestly, that's what I thought she'd be doing. I'm surprised they haven't filed for one already. Don't you think they're going to? I would think she would file for an appeal. Bama G gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Miss Bama G. I appreciate you supporting the channel and showing love. Thank you. If you guys got a membership, please make sure you tell them please make sure you tell Bama G thank you. We'll leave this. We'll put this one up here, right here. Matter of fact, we'll put this one up. We'll leave this up right here until it starts. Let's see. It's 11:30 my time, which is 12:30 in Georgia, and that's when it's supposed to start here. And I mean, that's when it's supposed to start, right? Good morning, Sleuth and Tater Tot. Good morning, Kathy P. That's what I thought too. I figured she'd file an appeal right away. I'm surprised her lawyers didn't already file an appeal. I don't know why. I don't know why they haven't, to be honest. Lost mother of one, gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, love. I appreciate you showing some love, baby. Mary Griffmith. Mary Griffmith. If y'all got one, make sure you tell her thank you. Leilani's another Susan Smith. I heard, you know what? Listen, I heard her parole hearing was like packed full of people and shit. Like there was a lot of people that spoke. I'm surprised her husband's wife and daughter spoke. Hold on. What does this say here? One of Leilani Simon's jurors gave an interview on one of the TV stations saying they did all agree with the verdict. Yeah, that's what I heard though. I heard it was all of them agreed on it, and that was it. It was an easy. They said it was an easy decision. Hold on, David. Wait, the ex made me cry. See, I'll have to go back. I watched one part of it, but I didn't get to watch the rest of it, so I have to go back and listen. Maybe we'll do that afterwards or something. Squirrel, hold on. That was the quickest deny for parole I've ever seen. Yeah, I heard it was pretty quick. I heard it was pretty quick. Well, I mean, life with a chance of parole. I think that's why she gets parole hearings. I don't know though. To be honest, I'm not sure of her sentencing. Well, yeah, but I'm saying I'm surprised they haven't put in for their appeal, just so it's ready to go. As soon as this is over today, boom, just put it, file it today as soon as they're done. You would think, anyways. I guess I'm surprised it's not up there. You know what I mean? Hold on, Tiger Lady. Let me see here. I used to have a green wing macaw. Macaws are beautiful birds. They are beautiful birds. But I'll tell you what, their beaks are so strong they could snap your fucking finger off. Oh, voices. Okay, okay, it's ready. Queen, the appeal is happening. Okay, so that's why I was wondering if they had it ready, or if they already filed, or if they were getting ready to file. I wasn't sure. Oh, now she will get a parole hearing every 2 years. Okay. Yeah. It was immediately after. Hold on. It was immediately after they left the room. No questions about. Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard they said it was a very easy decision. They all decided together, that she was guilty, and I think it was like they were out of there in like 2 hours. And Voices says, "What's happening? The appeal or what?" On here, I used to have a yellow nap Amazon and a pocket bird. My gosh. Yeah, they did. You know what? No wire hangers. That was a big deal. I had heard about that. She said I definitely cried. I remember watching her on TV when that happened, when she spoke at the parole hearing. I don't remember her saying that she loved them. It's all about. Hold on. Sorry, I had to take that call real quick. Shit. 3 umbrella cockatoos. My gosh. You know what? Those are fun birds, though. Those birds are really fun, especially if they got a good personality. Matter of fact, while we're waiting, let me go grab that real quick.
First of all, I want to say how very sorry.
Okay, we're gonna watch this real fast while we're waiting. Here's Susan Smith. You think this will be this will be what she deals with when she gets older?
I am. First of all, I want to say how very sorry I am.
It's okay, Susan. Just talk with us.
I know that what I did was horrible. And I would give anything if I could go back and change it.
Man, she looks so much different now. So much different. But I feel like, those tears, where were the tears for your boys? Where were the tears for your babies when you murdered them?
And I love Michael and Alice with all my heart.
Of drugs or alcohol the night that you murdered your children?
No, ma'am, I was not.
Your attorney talked about working with mental health. Is that helpful to you?
Ma'am,
Mr. Thomas
I
talked,
hear you.
Mr. Thomas talked about the fact that you were working with mental health, and my question is that helpful to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that something that you would be willing to continue with on the outside if you were granted parole?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Smith, your crime took a lot of resources from the law enforcement community. What, if anything, would you say to the folks who worked so hard to find your children if you had the opportunity to speak to them today?
That I'm sorry that I put them through that. I really, really am. And I'm especially sorry to the drivers that I had to find them. I wish I could take that back. I really do. I didn't lie to get away with it. I really did.
I was just scared. I didn't know how I could tell the people that loved him that they would never see them again. I didn't know how I could tell David he couldn't see his son again. And I'm sorry. I don't know. I know that's not enough. I know it's not, but I don't know. I know those just sound like words, but they come from my heart. They really do.
One of the things.
You know what's really crazy? Look, check this shit out real quick. Remember watching Leilani's her interrogation and stuff? You guys remember that? Look at this. This says the unthinkable, her story of what she does, and listen to what he says. See what I mean? Man, fuck that.
That we review is your institutional record, and you've had some infractions throughout the years, some involving the use of some narcotics. Do you have any issues with drugs or alcohol at this point?
I don't. No, ma'am, I don't.
And you had a recent disciplinary infraction just a few months ago. So why should this board think that if we grant you parole that you're going to go out and follow the rules and the laws of society if you do not follow the rules within the institution?
Well, this last infraction, I was trusted the wrong person. This lady contacted me, and I trusted her. I thought she was going to do a documentary on mental health, and I really am not guilty of what they charged me with. I have filed an appeal on that charge. And as far as your question, I've never been in trouble before, and the things that I have been found guilty of in here have been just stupidity. I know I made a lot of mistakes in here, and I have learned from them. And before this last infraction, it had been 10 years, because I grew up and I knew that I needed to stop making dumb decisions, and I did. I knew it was time to just.
She been locked up 30 fucking years. And just 10 years ago, she decided she needs to make better decisions. Fuck no.
To grow up and do the right thing. I just made a lot of dumb choices and mistakes in here. So I know I've learned from those mistakes.
What do you feel is the most
And I'm not
important
gonna do
thing that
that.
you've learned while you've been incarcerated?
Ma'am,
What do you think is the most important thing that you have learned while you have been incarcerated?
that people are important, that forgiveness and love, that family is important, and that decisions we make not just affect us, they affect the people that we love. And not to take things or people for granted.
Right. Is there anything else that you would like to tell us today that wasn't in your packet or that has not already been said?
I would just like to say that I am a Christian, and God is a big part of my life, and I know He has forgiven me. And it is by His grace and mercy and I have a lot of faith, and I live by that every day. And I just ask that you show that same kind of mercy as well. And I guess, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Are there any other questions
Okay, thank
from the
you.
board?
So basically, you're right. How about don't kill your kids? How about that? And then lie and say it's a black man that robbed you at gunpoint or tried to whatever the fuck she said. Robbed or tried to rob him. Let me see. This is where the husband speaks. While we're waiting on Leilani's to start, we're gonna go over this real quick because her ex-husband, I guess, he. Let's see. Oh, the Karen Reed case. My God. All right. Here's the husband. Here we go. Here's where he speaks. Yeah, ex-husband, I should say.
Tommy Pope here with us now. Now, apology, that remorse from his ex-wife, that it became a situation where he would have taken his life because of the pain that she caused and the grief. And that just brings home what this was like for this family, for this father, for this community. And I think for family members, case like this where two lives were.
I don't want to hear her talking. I wanted to hear him talking. I wanted to hear what the hell he had to say. Hold on, we'll go find something different. Let's put this back on here for right now. Make sure we're still all right here. All right. Let's pop back over here and find her husband and see what he had to say. Let's see. Oh, speaks out before he shed. He spoke out before her hearing and at her hearing. He wasn't fucking around. Let's see here. Okay, here's News Nation. Let's watch what they say.
Prepare for this day. David Smith had 30 years to think about what am I going to say when that first opportunity for her to leave prison comes my way. To be clear, it's not happening. You've heard the news. Denied in 57 seconds. And when Susan Smith comes out for parole again, David Smith will be there again to oppose her. David Smith and his wife, Tiffany, join me now live. Thank you to both of you for taking the time to speak with me. And may I just say, I'm so incredibly sorry, David and Tiffany, for what you went through today, what you're going to be going through every 2 years. It's not as though the last 30 years have been peaceful, but at least you haven't had to do this. David, perhaps start by telling me your reaction to hearing the news fairly quickly that parole was denied.
It was much relief. It was, like they say, lifting the world off my shoulders.
Did you think, David, that there was actually a chance did you think there was a chance she might actually get paroled today?
Slim chance. Not a big chance, but I was worried that it would happen, yeah.
How did you prepare? I noticed you didn't have any remarks written down. You spoke from the heart. You spoke off the cuff. And there's two ways to prepare: what you're going to say and how you're going to cope. How did you prepare?
I talked to Michael and Alex a lot beforehand. We had a lot of discussions beforehand.
Okay, sorry, my screen was being weird, so I have to redo it now. Sorry about that. All right, let's put this back on here. What is going on with this? My screen froze. Was y'all still watching it? Yep, I had to yeet myself because my screen just froze. Did you guys? Was it still playing or did it shut off? I'm going to turn that shit right back on real quick because I wanted to finish hearing what he had to say. Yeah, he said he almost unalived himself because of what was going on. That's really fucking sad, man. Not very many families make it out unscathed from things like this. Did I pin the link? I just got a message saying it ain't pinned. Let me see here. I pulled a no dose. There's the stream here. Like I'm gonna pin that bad boy. Give me 1 second. Oh, them pictures of his boys are so cute. That's so fucking sad, man.
Given to us. Can I ask you, so many people say time heals all wounds, right? But I saw your face today. I saw how painful it was for you to stand up there and speak about the boys and speak about what's happened to you and your family and speak about your grief. What do you say to that notion that some say time heals all wounds?
Maybe it does heal some wounds, but for me personally, time does not heal the losing of a child. That one, it does not heal.
Are there tougher times? I listened to your sister as she gave her remarks, and she listed the dates, the August birthday, the October birthday, the day that the children lost their lives. She said that her life really collapses every year on those dates.
Yeah. It used to be for me on anniversaries or holidays or just landmark dates, it was really tough. But then it got to where it could be the 8th year, the 12th year, just a random year that got really tough to deal with. So it's up and down all the time.
Do you picture, I'm looking at a picture of you from 30 years ago, and the smile on your face, the smile on both of your faces. Do you picture Michael and Alex as 30-something-year-old men?
I do not. I think about it sometimes. Through the years, I've thought about what they would look like or what they would be like, have chosen as a career. But in my mind, I always come back to 3 and 14-month-old.
They're just frozen in time in those same pictures that we're looking at.
And that's exactly right. They are frozen in time. Be still, says my son will forever be 19. Yeah, should they? Their lives are frozen in time. The boys were found holding hands. Jamie, that's sad. That's really sad. They said his daughter spoke to. I didn't even know he had a. I didn't know he had a daughter. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Crimes have consequences. I dropped the link in the chat for the membership or the. What were you asking for? The membership link. See, I would leave this unmuted, but like I said, my birds are loud as hell. So. Has anybody snuck over and checked on Justin's monkey? You like hearing the birds? They're back there bitching. Sometimes, like they really get going when it's Betty's voice. They get to snapping the fuck out in there, and I'm like, I can't handle this. Nope, we ain't gonna listen to that. They even go for little little rides to the pet store. Remy Pearl's doing well. Good. I'm glad to hear she's doing well. I haven't checked on her in a couple days, so hopefully she's still doing well. No, Emerald Skies, I haven't been caught monkey spying. Not in the last couple days. Yeah, look, we better check on her soon, huh, Pippi? We better go check. I don't know. B Tim's been working. He's got stuff to take care of. Yeah, see, they don't really. I mean, like they can say maybe one word. That's it, and it ain't even really a word. It's just them bitching. That's it. That's all. Who said that, Stitching? Who said that? When B Tim's away, the monkeys will play. We're checking on him anyways. Yeah, the little monkey is so stinking cute. She definitely is. I'm glad he's doing well with her. I haven't, like I said, I haven't checked on her. I haven't really, paid any attention to her in the last couple days, but I hope she's doing good. All right, I went and gave them a little treat. Well, hopefully that'll keep them busy instead of in here bitching or hollering like they were. My God. Well, I hear some noise. Court's going to be starting here soon. Uh-oh. We never did get our poll up, did we? Let's go put that up real fast. How dare I forget? My gosh. See, you got that. You can hear him back there. Well, hold on. Do you think there'll be victim impact statements? You know, I don't really know. Honestly, I don't. Unless, well, I mean, I don't know if Quentin's dad or grandma, or I mean, I don't know if there's going to be any statements. I'm not sure, to be honest. You know, usually there are, but yeah, I don't know if there will be or who's all going to be there. I have no idea. You mean last night? Upper thigh? Is that what you're talking about from last night? Yeah, just Samantha. I really do think she's gonna get life. I think she will. I don't know if the death penalty's on the table or not. I don't think it is, but I'm raking. What did you say here last night? Was funny hearing Stitch and spill on her storage hair. Yeah, you know what? That was fucking hilarious. She's like, I'll just go ahead and out myself. I'll just out myself. I don't know if he is or not. I know that him and PJ were traveling, but I don't know if he's there. That malice charge was the big one. That's probably life in prison. Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, malice murder charge is gonna carry the most weight. You know what I mean? And I don't even know what the stipulations are up there, to be honest. I'm not too sure in Georgia. You want to keep your camera on or you want to turn it off, baby? It's completely up to you. How are you, love?
I'm good. How are you, Queen?
I'm good. Good.
I
What you
just
doing,
thought
girl?
oh, not much. Thought I'd come up here and just keep you company for a minute. My aunt has a great cockatoo. His
Oh,
name's
really?
Liberty. Yeah.
Aw.
Oh, we had 19 parrots at one time. I'm telling you, sometime I gotta tell you my life. You wouldn't you wouldn't believe my life. Oh, I had told you before we had monkeys and stuff. I mean, we had all kinds of things, but that bird is so hilarious. He's like 50 years old and he talks
Yeah,
up
they
a
live to be a long. Like they
storm.
live to be super old.
Yeah, she said she's going to pass him down to me when she's no longer here. And I'm like, I don't know. Because he likes warm chicken to eat. And I'm like, does he know he's eating his cousin? Oh, he's funny though.
Yeah, birds that chat are funny. They are fucking hilarious. There was one of them that goes. I think he's on TikTok. I think he's got his own TikTok. Maybe I'm not too sure, but the guy smashes his cage when he gets him, and he sits there and he's like screaming, like squeaking and stuff. He's super happy about it. He doesn't ever have to go to the cage again. I was like, oh, that's cool as hell.
Oh, she just gets the spray bottle out and he shuts up. What kind do
Yeah.
you have?
So I have sun conures. I have a green cheek
Oh,
sun conure.
I know what they are. I had a son, Connor. His name was Gizmo. He was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, and they are. They are. And you know what? My Kiwi, she's super loving. She's
Oh,
very
yeah.
smart. She knows how to give kisses and all that. Like a peck on the
I
cheek.
like it. I like it when they lay on their little backs with their little feet up,
Yeah, and put
just
their
let.
feet up. Now that is
wanting
fucking,
you to scratch their bellies.
yes, that is funny. It's like it's almost like a dog when they roll over
It
like that.
is. They're so cute. Anyway, I just wanted to come up and keep you company, give you somebody to talk to while you were waiting. And I'm doing
Well, I
really, really
appreciate
good.
that.
I've been watching. I'm an artist, like I said, I'm an artist. I've been watching you while I've been working on Christmas presents and stuff. And I want to say how sorry I am at everything you're going through. And I'm praying for you, girl.
Hey, it'll be all right, baby. And I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing but a bunch of fuck bags on here, but I mean, I don't really give a fuck about that. As far as the lawsuit goes, we're just tired of dealing with it. We're tired of different bullshit. I mean, but when you're
Well,
dealing
yeah,
with
it's
somebody that has mental
exhausting.
issues, in my opinion, it's a fucking, that's something you just have to roll with when you're dealing with somebody like Andra.
I'm just glad you have a lot of support. You're strong too,
I am too. I am too. That's for sure.
and I admire your strength. You are so strong, and you come on here laughing and giggling and make everybody happy, and you have such wonderful support. And I just wanted to let you know even when I'm not in chat, I'm usually listening to you either live or on replay. I really enjoy your channel.
Well, you know what? I appreciate that. But I will say I am still human as well. So I know a lot of people don't think that, but that I am. So
Well, I know you are. I can feel your heart. You have a very kind heart. That's what I feel from
yeah,
you.
I try,
And I
but
know
it's
it's got to
sometimes
be
it's
tough.
you get
I
shit on a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah. I know it has to wear on you though. I know it does. That's why I pray for you.
Well, I mean, it wears on everybody around us. You know what I mean? It's just like
It does.
when you have people that are miserable to the point where they don't even wash their ass. All they do is, you know what I'm saying, work on
Mhm.
really trying to just be an annoying little fucking gnat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just gets old fast. But like I said, I mean, it's not. I mean, you can tell by the numbers, people are not enjoying the shit over there. So it is what it
Oh,
is.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it's sad that they think that's the only way, or that's the only way they know how to get attention.
Yeah, that's what she's done since she came on this platform, though.
Yeah.
That's the only way she knows how to get attention and make money. Like, you know what I mean? That's just sometimes you just have to meet people where they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, I didn't want to bring you down. I just wanted to
You're
come up and
baby, you
talk
ain't
to
never
you.
bringing me down, baby. It's all good. But listen, Texas Lubana, stop busting me out. Listen, you hear me? Don't bust me out again. Not a queen and I'm not a bee. Stop busting me out like that.
Not a queen nor a bee.
God dang
Ah,
it.
well, I
always trying
think you're queen.
always trying to bust my business out there. Come on now.
Oh man. I was listening was it last night I was listening and yeah, I'm not going to say his name, but you know who was being talked
Yeah.
about and
I was like, oh fuck, now
Oh
you're gonna give
no.
him 16 lives.
Oh no.
None.
No, 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 no. Mm-mm.
16 dry tears.
I just thought it was funny. You're like, okay, now he's going to say something 25 times. 25 lives, man. 25
Now here we
lives.
get it now. Fuck. Now we get to listen to 25 crybaby ass fucking streams. They said my name and I'm gonna sue him. I'm gonna sue him. Like, get the fuck out of here.
I was cracking up. She's like, I'll just shut up now.
Well, I mean, that one really fucked up. That one fucked up when he decided to jump down Nonsense's fucking back and lie on her. I said,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
shit. Now y'all are really gonna see how much this motherfucker lies.
Oh, yeah.
Look out.
Definitely. She going to be pulling things from all over the place.
Well, yeah, because I mean, she don't fuck around. She comes with her receipts and shit, and she's not gonna play that shit.
No. Who was that lady talking about him? I really liked her. The vet?
Firefly last night. Oh
Yes.
my god, believe she was cracking me the fuck up. She's like telling on Gray one and
Oh
stitching.
my
I was like,
God.
okay, you're getting down. You're getting down. You're getting down.
Oh, she is hilarious. Did you actually
Like,
kick
that's
her
it.
off a
That's
couple
it.
times?
We had to yeet you. I said, we're gonna have to yeet you.
She was funny. I
That's
enjoyed
it.
her. I did.
She was
Where's
funny.
where's B Tim been? And Voices. Have I
Well,
just
Voices
missed
has been
him?
working on her own channel. She's doing her own stuff, which, like I said, I keep an open panel. Shit, I don't, you know, I don't have to. People don't have to come up here every single time I'm live. It's okay.
Oh, I know that. I know that. I miss B Tim. I like him.
B Thug Thizzle, he's been busy, and then when he gets off work at like 4 or 5, I'm tired and I got stuff to do, so I usually shut my live off. And then if I go live at nighttime, he's already in bed.
I think he's my age, isn't he?
I don't know. I have
I'm
no
like
idea.
in my 60s. Early.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I thought I heard
But
him say
when
that
he gets
before,
off
but I
work,
don't know.
usually I'm ending the live stream. So, you know what I mean? I go live during the day when he's at work. He tries to pop on when he can, but, you know,
I
when
love
you got
your
a job
open
like his,
channel.
you can't just pop on here all the time, you know? So,
Yeah, well, I enjoy your panels. Whoever's on here, I really
I know. And you know what? I
enjoy.
like when new people come up or people that don't normally come up. I like it. You know what I mean? It's different. It's, you know,
Well,
Tim
B
is a
Tim,
good guy. He is a good guy, man. He's a
he's
good fucking
smart.
company.
He's a very smart man. You're just always so gracious. I'm just gonna sit up here and kiss your ass. Is that okay?
What the hell? What the hell?
What the hell? I'm just kidding. I'm not. I just thought I'd keep you company. I'm in a good mood today.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's good. I'm glad you are.
It's a beautiful day out. Thanksgiving's coming. We
It
all
is. Did
have
you guys
so
get
much
your?
to be thankful for.
Did you guys get your first snow? We got our first snow last night.
No, but we got 6 inches of rain, which was for us was a record since they started recording the other day. It was crazy, and the wind was blowing like I felt like we were in a hurricane, man. It was, and I'm in Kansas, so it's like we get wind, but not like that, especially not with rain. Oh, hi. How are you, crime sleuthing?
Ain't that your
Um,
friend?
that is my friend. She's she's uh she's really been sweet and helpful.
You're a good friend to you, and you know what? That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
I appreciate her. People got her wrong. They got her wrong.
Well, and
And
you know what?
saying that.
It's not so much wrong. It's just you know, some people don't jive together, and some people just, you know, it
This
is
is
what it
true.
is. You know, you have different experiences with people. You know what I'm saying? So I might have a bad experience with you, whereas somebody else might have a good experience with you. And then, you know, like
That's true.
that's why I say you don't always listen to what everybody says, you know, because usually it's you know, somebody that's mad or a scorned motherfucker, or you know what I mean?
No, that's true. That's true. That's a very good way of looking at it. That's why I like your channel is because you guys try to look at different sides and I like that. I always like playing like devil's advocate or something. You know,
Well,
looking
yeah, I mean, it's, you know,
I mean with the cases and everything. I just kind of Speaking of cases, do you think she's going to get life? Leilani? I can't wait for this.
actually, I do think she's going to get life.
I think she should definitely get life. Definitely. That was cold. This case has just been
From the start
heartbreaking.
till now, you know?
Yeah, heartbreaking case. I just can't imagine being that cold.
Oh man, somebody just sent a thing and it says I'm making a blanket, an email. It says I'm making a blanket of swear words for a friend as a Christmas present.
Oh,
It says cunt nugget. That's what it says on the. That's too
that'll be
funny.
fun.
I'll say, oh my god, I love it.
I'm
That is
making
too.
I do a lot of, well, I'm a nail artist, but I do a lot of resin art and things like that as well. And so this year I thought I'd make everybody some really cute little coasters for Christmas for part of when they come over Thanksgiving. I'm going to give it to them for early present so they can enjoy it through the holidays. I want to do more like a snowy theme than a Christmas theme. That way they can have it out all the time during the winter.
Oh,
Do
that's
you
really
have?
nice of you. That's thoughtful.
Oh, I love making people happy. Do you have your
Oh,
Christmas stuff up yet?
no.
Oh, I just got finished. I'm exhausted. We're having Thanksgiving at our house, so yeah, I had to get it
You got
done.
to deal with all the company and all the stuff, huh?
Yeah, but it's cool. We're a really close family. It's wonderful. My husband's family is Dutch. He's first generation over here, so we still have a lot of the Dutch traditions and everything we do. So it's pretty nice. I've been married to him for 40 years. I've known him for 45. We met when we were 16, and I honestly feel like I'm more Dutch than anything else anymore. I've been in the family so long, and they live 2 doors down from us, and um, his mom and dad, and so
You know what though? It's good to have family. It's good to have your family over and hang out. You know what I mean?
it is. His dad just turned 84, and that man can run circles around 20 years old. I kid you not.
Hey, a body in motion stays in motion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I figured they'd be on by now. Oh, yeah, Nonsense is really good about, she can hit it hard, man. She actually cracks me up a lot. I'm like, ooch, that had to hurt. When you're
Oh,
sitting
you
there
know what?
listening to your own words, it's like, how can I fight that?
Right, right. Candy B Art, I did get your email with that, and I did see those. Are you are you referring to the dogs that had the colors? Right? Is that what you're talking about? Where your friend's a groomer and she did the dogs? Is that what you're referring to? Those were pretty fucking cool. I'm gonna show them if you don't care.
Does she does she do the my niece
She,
actually does that.
she like paints the dogs. She like painted
Yeah.
the dogs.
Does she do the shows where they have to do like the themes and stuff like that and get them done in a certain amount of time from like I saw one time did like a Alice in Wonderland theme on her poodle. It was really interesting. They said that Billy Joe and Paul and the babysitter are in the courtroom. Were you going to show them? Are you looking for them?
Yep. As long as she's okay with it, I got to go through here and find them. There's lots of them on here.
The evil Pomeranian gets her hair done tomorrow. Lady. Uh, she doesn't like to get groomed. What's the name? Crimes and have consequences. Your Pom doesn't like get groomed. I have a little Yorkie. She thinks she's a child. She's got a little dress on today. Yeah, the groomer that paints the dogs, and then they have to clip them and and all of that during the show. They're
Well, it wasn't
really
during the show. It was these? I don't know if these are show dogs or not. I don't know, but they just have the here. They're dressed. Let me pull them to another page here. All right, let's check these out here while we're waiting. Let's see here.
Candy Bee art. Do you do that, Candy Bee?
Oh, I thought it was a friend of hers.
Oh, I
I
just
didn't
was
know it was
wondering
her.
because
It
it said
might be
art.
her. Like she said the one like a lion was on the cover of Groomers magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool the way they did them. Let me see if I can find them here.
It's
Yeah, they're on here.
amazing how they do that.
Okay. Here's
Do
two of them.
you also do it, Candy Bee? Vintage.
Okay. Here's this one. Let's see here. Here's this one.
Oh my gosh, how cute is that? And that looks like real pants, and that's his fur.
Yeah.
Oh, that is adorable.
And see how it's like it's two animals. It's the zebra
Yeah.
with the little zebra tail or whatever with the zebra, and then he's got the lion for the front of it.
He looks like a stuffed animal.
Yeah.
They do. That just amazes me.
Yeah, ain't that pretty cool? Hold on, there's like two more. Here's this one. This one's pretty cool. I thought this was a stuffed animal.
Oh yeah. Oh my
There ain't
god.
no way that's real. Ain't no fucking way that's real. Yes, it is. Yes, it is very
Yes,
real.
it is. Yes, it is. But boy, it does look like Tony the Tiger. Their imagination just is amazing to me. Does he have a tutu on? Or is that a different color?
I'm not sure what it is, to be honest with you. I don't know.
It does look like a stuffed animal.
No,
No,
I
that's
think it's
his
just the
fur.
paint. Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's just the paint on there, but
You
yeah,
know
he's like,
these
what the
dogs.
hell's going on here?
These dogs have to be patient, man.
Is that airbrush on there?
I have
Do they
no
airbrush
idea.
that on? I mean, how do they get that on there like that? She is very talented.
Absolutely. Does he have like a hat on too? Did she make like a hat on him? Those are adorable.
I don't know. Here's this one though. Let's see. Yeah, here's the other one. It's got the zebra that we just seen or whatever, and then the lion. That's pretty. I mean, it's pretty neat. Like I said, it's really good. I mean, she's very talented. That's for sure.
Well, and you know
Very
those dogs
talented.
have to be trained very well to stand still and wow.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, this sentencing should be starting any time now. Let's see. Should be getting started here at any time. Hold on. Slim Jim says, just sending love to the hive. Can't watch the sentencing, but I'll catch the next one. Thank you. I appreciate that, love. Thank you. All right. Here we go.
I'll jump down. Bye-bye.
All right, love. Thank you for coming up and hanging out.
Good morning,
Thank you
everyone.
for allowing me. Bye.
Good morning. I had a long morning. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. Would you please bring out Miss Simon? All right. We are here today for the sentencing hearing of Leilani Simon. This is SPC R22-03364J6, the state of Georgia versus Leilani Marie Simon. Let the record reflect that counsel for both parties are present for the state, are Assistant U.S. Attorney Tim Dean, Assistant District Attorney Jenny Parker, and Detective Lemons. For the defense, present for Ms. Simon are her attorneys, Martin Hilliard and Robert Purse. Ms. Simon is seated with her attorneys. And with that, we'll turn our attention to the matter at hand. Are there any merger issues? And I believe we have relatively easy merger issues to proceed with. The felony murder counts would be vacated by operation of law, and the others will be handled with the pronouncement of sentence. So, Mr. Dean, turning to the state first, is there any evidence in aggravation?
There are, I think, some merger issues with respect to some of the false statements.
Let's go back to that.
I emailed the court and the defense about this morning. My belief is that some of the false statements count should merge with others. That count 10 should merge factually with 9. That count 14 should merge factually with count 13. And that 17 should merge factually with 16.
Is that okay?
So I may not exactly be right, but out of an abundance of caution, I would request that the court merge those 3 counts with the ones that preceded.
Okay. And once again, to make sure I have those correct, you're suggesting that count 10 merge into 9, and then what was the next?
The count 14 merge factually into count 13, and that count 17 merge factually into count 16.
All right, thank you. Any others? All right.
Your Honor, just for the record, I concur with the court. Count 2 and 3 should be vacated as an operation of law. And I also concur with Mr. Dean. I think factually those counts would merge, and those would be the ones that I would move for merger on as well. So we don't have any objection proceeding in that manner. So.
All right, thank you. Okay. Any evidence in aggravation of punishment, Mr. Dean?
Yes, Your Honor. The first item in aggravation that I would introduce is what I've marked as State's Exhibit 1. This is a certified copy of conviction from Burke County Superior Court in which the defendant was convicted of criminal trespass reduced from burglary in the first degree. So I would offer that at this time.
Okay.
I don't think it triggers any recidivist punishment, Judge, and it's an appropriate copy. But no objection, but I don't think it does anything to trigger 1710-7.
All right. Thank you. And Mr. Dean, any other evidence you wish to put forward?
Your Honor, at this time I'm called to take amendments.
The evidence you shall give the court on the issue pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good afternoon, Detective.
Good afternoon.
All right. You understand that one of the most important factors the court considers in fashioning a sentence is whether and to what degree the defendant has accepted responsibility, right?
Yes.
I'd like to ask you some questions kind of designed to get at that, okay? First, I want to ask you about the various sources of information you've had access to during the investigation and then after the defendant was arrested that represent kind of sources and statements that she made, things that she said about the case, okay? Let's start with interviews. You interviewed her a number of times, right?
Yes, I did.
And there were some other law enforcement interviews that you didn't participate in, but did watch.
Correct, yes.
You've talked to witnesses who have talked to her.
Yes.
For instance, Melanie Bowling, Billy Joe Howell, the defendant's mother.
Yes.
You have seen the news interview that she did during the investigation.
Yes, I have.
And have you also monitored her communications from the jail during the time that she spent there between her arrest and the trial?
I have.
Listened to many of her phone calls from the jail?
Yes.
Read emails that she sent from the jail?
Yes.
And read letters that she exchanged with a pen pal, right?
Yes.
You've also watched some video recorded, like video visits that they can do,
Yes.
sort of like a FaceTime type thing.
Yes.
Okay. So you've seen her talk a lot.
I have.
You've heard her talk a lot.
Yes.
Those various statements have included some stories about that night, right? About what happened or what might have happened.
Yes, they have.
Let's talk about the abduction story. Tell us about the abduction story or stories.
Yeah, so that initially started on October 5th. That was the initial story that she came up with was Quentin was abducted by Bubba.
And was there a version of the abduction story at some point that involved not Bubba as the alleged kidnapper, but strangers, unknown strangers?
Yes, on that first day after we had confirmation from the FBI office in Augusta that Bubba was most likely not going to be involved, she started mentioning, random vehicles that had followed her throughout the night or had stopped in front of her house, just trying to cast suspicion on those.
What about Michelle McCarta, Quentin and his siblings' babysitter? Did she ever feature in any version of the abduction story offered by the defendant?
Yes, there's a few times where she tried to say that possibly Michelle McCarta was involved.
So as to the abduction story, it's taken various forms. Bubba took him, maybe a stranger took him, maybe Michelle took him, right?
Correct.
There's also a story, or maybe multiple versions of variants on the same story, alleging that Danny was involved or Danny did it or something along those lines.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that story or stories?
Yeah. So the Danny possibly being involved started shortly after Daniel left. That was brought up in a text message to Savannah Solomon on October 24th and during our interview on the 31st of October. It's also been mentioned a number of times in our jail calls, just various versions of that story.
It has included the claim that Danny was actually the one at the dumpsters at 1:20 or so in the morning on October 5th, right?
Yeah, that was the story from October 31st. It wasn't her at the dumpster, it was actually Daniel.
There's also been a different version from her in which she suggests that, actually, no, he threw him in some other trash receptacle on his way to work after the sun had come up. Right?
Yes.
So as to Danny, two different versions of the Danny did it story, right?
Yes, it is.
At some point, did she try out something that I'll call the bathtub theory on you?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So in her final interview on November 21st, she did mention that possibly something happened to Quentin in the bathtub. That one was shortly, discarded as an untrue, theory. based on the fact that Paul got home after the bathtub. You know, all sorts of other parties can confirm Quentin was still alive after he took a bath.
All right, so I'd like to ask you a couple questions about all these different stories, things she said, things she didn't say. First of all, as we talked about, some of these stories involve her kind of casually accusing other people or implicating other people, right?
They do, yes.
Y'all, why the fuck does Dolly look like a homeless man back there? What the hell? Look at him all the way in the back. What the fuck? I can't believe they even let him in.
Do you ever hear from her any reluctance, apprehension, or hesitance about throwing these other innocent people's names out there as potentially being responsible?
No.
Now, remember in the news interview, and I think in the October 12th interview with Special Agent Snyder and Special Agent Solomon, she said some things about being willing to take responsibility if it came to light that she was the one who had done this, right?
She said that, yes.
In all of these statements of hers that you've listened to, the interviews, things witnesses have told you she said, jail communications and so forth, at any point, has she ever actually accepted responsibility for what she's now been convicted of?
No, she hasn't.
Now, she sometime relatively recently wrote a letter to a local news station, right?
Yes, she did.
Do you see in front of you a document marked as States Exhibit 2?
Yes, I do.
Is that a copy of that letter?
It is.
Where did that letter come from?
It is from the WTOC website, and it's signed by Leilani Simon at the bottom.
And WTOC website is they're a respected news organization, and they're posting it saying, this is a letter she sent to us.
Yes.
Right? Your Honor, I would offer this into evidence as States Exhibit 2.
Any objection?
No objection, Judge.
States Exhibit 2 is admitted.
What's the date of this letter?
September 2nd, 2024.
So a little more than a month before trial, maybe 5 weeks before trial.
Yes.
Now that this has been admitted into evidence, could you just read it for us?
Sure. WTOC, there is no factual evidence against me, none. As in no concrete, without a doubt evidence. All the state has is speculation based on circumstantial evidence. Nothing, however, based in fact with undeniable proof/evidence. This is what the state doesn't have. No DNA evidence, no forensic evidence, no eyewitnesses, no murder weapon, no camera/video evidence, no time of death to prove I was at home during tragedy, no cause of death, no proof of any previous abuse to Quentin or other children. I understand if you're skeptical of what I just wrote, but I assure it's the truth, it's fact. I implore you to do your own investigation into my claims to confirm. The public deserves to know some of the facts of this case and not only speculation based in circumstantial evidence. I firmly believe that if the investigators weren't mainly focused on me from day one of the investigation, that they may have found the evidence they lack and therefore the actual murderer. They, in quotations, the state, are attempting to railroad me instead of admitting they have accused the wrong person for the past almost 2 years. Leilani Simon.
Now, is it fair to say that in that letter, she's kind of holding herself out as like a detached commentator upon the state of the evidence and not like, the person who was there and threw him in the dumpster and knows exactly what happened?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Now, I'd like to ask you some questions about her behavior during the investigation. A lot of her behavior in the investigation was charged in the indictment in the form of false statements. I want to ask you about a couple of things that did not come into evidence at trial. Okay. The first is something that occurred on October 5th, right? That's day one.
Yes.
That is when the defendant, Paul Simon and Daniel Youngkin, were at the Chatham County Police Department for a fairly long period of time for a series of interviews, right?
Yes.
Was there, and that was at a time very early on where she's representing to the police that Quentin has been abducted and she doesn't know whether he's safe or not, dead or alive, right?
Yes.
Was there a point where she was captured on camera asking Paul whether he had any weed to smoke when they left there?
Yes, there was.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So after everyone's individual interviews were concluded, my team was trying to arrange transport to get them back home. We had all three of them in the interview room together. During that time, Leilani asked Paul if he has marijuana at the house.
Now, moving forward from that, another incident that wasn't introduced in evidence at trial, the Stingrays incident. Okay. That was on October 18th, right?
Yes, it was.
And that is the day that the Chatham County Police Department announced that they believed Quentin to be dead, to be located in the landfill, right?
Yes, it was.
Can you tell us about the Stingrays incident? First of all, let me ask you this. Have you reviewed video footage from Stingrays depicting the defendant and her activities there?
Yes.
And did you interview or talk to her waiter that day, a young man by the name of Zach?
Yes, I have.
Give us the broad contours of what happened at Stingrays based on that review.
Yeah, so like you said, November 18th is when our social media liaison announced to the public that we were looking for Quentin in the landfill. October 18th.
Okay.
Yeah, excuse me. And on that day, my team received notice that Leilani and her family had gone out to Stingrays, which is a bar restaurant on Tybee, and that they were out there partying. I interviewed Zach Anderson, who was their waiter at the time, and he told us about her behavior out there, how she was flirtatious. Everyone was drinking, cheersing, and seeming to have a very good time.
And he said that she consumed numerous alcoholic beverages, right?
Yes.
That she became noticeably, I guess if not drunk, at least tipsy or something along those lines.
Yes.
And that she was behaving in a flirtatious manner towards him.
Yes.
In her November 21 interview, the day of the final interview on the day of her arrest, you brought up the Stingrays incident, right?
Yes, I did.
And that was in the context of explaining to her that from your perspective, she had not behaved in a way that comported with what she was saying happened, that she was a victim of an abduction, right?
Yes.
And did she tell you a lie in that interview about what had happened at Stingrays?
Yes, she did.
And what was that?
That she was not consuming alcohol that night.
Is it fair to say that we did not charge all of the lies that she told you as false statements in this indictment?
We did not.
I'd like to ask you about one more aspect of the defendant's behavior during the investigation. Okay. At some point during the investigation, she entered some kind of drug, a substance abuse rehabilitation program, right?
Yes.
And this was an inpatient deal.
It was.
Where you lived there.
Yes.
And was she kicked out at some point?
That's what we were told, yes.
And when was she kicked out?
November 21st.
That's the day of the final interview and her arrest?
Yes, it is.
Why was she kicked out of rehab?
We were told it was fraternization with the other people in rehab.
Specifically male
Yes.
patients at the facility?
Yes.
Now, I'd like to ask you a little bit about her behavior during her pretrial incarceration, like after she's arrested but before trial. Okay.
Okay.
She was housed the entire time at the Chatham County Detention Center, correct?
Yes.
Um, while there, is it fair to say she's had interactions with a number of men who are not incarcerated at that facility?
Yes, she has.
Both over the phone and electronically otherwise?
Yes.
Messages and so forth?
Yes.
Has she maintained a long-running pen pal relationship with a child molester incarcerated in the state of Wisconsin?
Yes, she has.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'm not sure the exact start date. It was well over a year ago when they began communicating, and they regularly send letters to each other. They refer to each other as husband and wife.
And more recently, has she begun having like video visits, remote video visits with a felon, convicted felon from the Boston area, a man?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
That's one of the more recent ones. He's an individual that reached out to her saying that he wanted to be friends with her and gives her money on her books, and they have started video visitation.
And separate and apart from her interactions with those two men, has she also been accepting money put onto her books from other men around the country or even around the world, perhaps?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
There's been a few throughout the last 2 years. The most recent one, the one that she began video chatting, that's one that's saying he's going to regularly put money on her books.
So based on the on your review of the letters, the video visits, maybe phone calls as well, does she seem to be enjoying and encouraging the male attention that she's received since being arrested?
Yes, she does.
I'd like to ask you a couple questions now about her behavior during trial. Okay. We've touched on her behavior during the investigation and her behavior during pretrial incarceration. But let's talk about the trial, okay?
Okay.
Do you remember an incident during trial where I brought up the fact that to my eye, she could be seen visibly mouthing during Talia McCarty's testimony, either something along the lines of, "That's a fucking lie," or "She's a fucking liar," or something like that?
Yes.
Have you gone back and reviewed some of the broadcasted footage of this trial?
Yes, I have.
And have you located that incident in the footage available online?
Yes.
And has it been clipped into like a 1.5 minute clip and placed on a disc?
Yes, it has.
Is that what's contained on the disc in front of you, marked State's Exhibit 3?
Yes, it is.
And can you tell us, well, at this time you're not to offer that into evidence as State's Exhibit 3?
I don't care, Judge. No objection.
Okay, Exhibit 3 is admitted.
Now, Your Honor, I had intended to publish that, but there are a lot of people and equipment over here where I would set up my computer, so I'm not going to do that. But it will be in evidence for the court to review should the court see fit to do that. Without the ability to readily play it here, can I just ask you to describe what is depicted in that clip?
Sure. You can hear Talia in the background talking about Leilani's referencing Bubba and Quentin and how Quentin looks like Bubba. And then during that, it shows Leilani's face during the trial, and she's saying, "That's a fucking lie." And
did she appear to you to be talking to her lawyer when she said that?
No.
Now, did you keep an eye on the defendant throughout the trial to one degree or another?
Yes.
And did you have the opportunity to observe when, if at all, she displayed any visible emotion versus when she did not?
Yes.
What is your sense of the point in the trial where she displayed the most clear, visible emotion? I mean, aside from what we just talked about, but I guess the emotion of sadness or being upset.
I would say the verdict would be where she was more visually upset.
What about What about when Quentin's dismembered foot or pieces of his skull were up on the screen in front of her and she was looking right at him?
She didn't appear to be upset.
I'd like to ask you a couple questions about, about the money associated with the landfill search, okay?
Okay.
It's not really what this case is all about, but I do want to just put a couple things on the record about this. Have you reviewed some emails and talked to some people to get a sense for how much money the landfill search effort cost the Chatham County Police Department, the FBI, and therefore, the taxpayers?
Yes.
That includes, those expenses include things like travel and lodging for some of the FBI agents who came in from out of town to participate, right?
Yes.
Equipment, boots, Tyvek suits, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, it does.
Heavy equipment rentals.
Yes.
Excavators and things like that.
Yes.
And is it fair to say that also overtime pay, right? There's a lot of overtime pay for people.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that the cost of the landfill search appears to far exceed, I'll say, $500,000?
Yes, it does.
Now, I'd like to ask you a couple questions about the impact of Quentin's murder on the community. Okay. As the lead detective for the Chatham County Police Department, have you had the opportunity to get a sense for the community impact of this case?
I would say so, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I know my office, as well as the district attorney's office, has received phone calls from people thanking them and us for, finding justice and finding his body. I've had several people reach out to me to say how much it means that we were able to find him, really more than anything.
People in the community took an interest in this case, right?
Yes, they did.
And, a lot of people seem to have come to care about Quentin and never even met him. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
I'd like to ask you a little bit about the effect, the impact on some of the police officers involved in this case, okay?
Okay.
And we don't need to go into this in great detail, but is it accurate to say that a number of police officers sought out counseling services after either having been involved in the initial response to the house or having been involved in the landfill search, or both?
Yes, that's accurate.
And do you know some of those people?
Yes, I do.
One of the people in the community who was affected by this this case was Donner Johnson, right?
Yes.
And can you remind us who Donner is and what his role in the investigation and in the trial was?
Yeah, he was our point of contact for the landfill off of Little Neck. He was there with us every step of the way until we found Quentin.
Has this whole thing had an effect on Donner?
Him and his coworkers, yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Donner and I have had several conversations about what it's like for them to still work out there, knowing that part of Quentin's remains are still in the landfill. He and his team have had a tough time still working there.
Now, have they, has he or have they done anything to memorialize Quentin's memory out at the landfill?
Yes, they have.
Can you tell us about what that is?
In one of the areas that we had set up for the landfill search, Donner and everyone at Waste Management set up a large memorial for Quentin. It has a headstone, flowers, and a photograph of him.
And who paid for that?
The landfill.
Do you see in front of you, I think it's 3 images that are marked as State's Exhibit 4?
Yes.
Are those pictures showing the memorial that you just talked about?
Yes, it does.
Could you hold those up and for the judge and just kind of walk through what we're looking at in these pictures?
So this is the plaque right here. It's a marble stone plaque, and they've done some landscaping around it. This is a better view of the plaque. It has a photograph of Quentin, and then they have nice flower bed around it.
And then the last picture is what, just kind of a closer view?
Yes.
One moment, please. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Hilliard, Mr. Purse.
Detective Lemons, have you had multiple theories in this case when you first got it of what happened?
Yes.
Okay, were all of those theories true?
No.
Or, okay. So when you discarded the theories that weren't, did that make you a liar?
No, they were based off of evidence that we found.
Okay, so when you're throwing out a theory, doesn't necessarily make you a liar if that theory doesn't pan out, does it?
It does. No.
It does or it does not?
Restate your question, please.
If you're throwing out a theory and the theory doesn't pan out, it doesn't mean you were a liar when you threw out a theory, does it?
No.
Okay. Now, Mr. Dean asked you a bunch of questions. Simon's been convicted of this charge, but let's go ahead and, since Mr. Dean asked the question, do you exactly know the manner or method in which Quentin Simon died?
No.
Do you know whether or not there was any DNA evidence that showed how he died or who the perpetrator was?
No.
Okay. So all of these statements that Mr. Dean had you run through are factually correct, are they not?
They are.
Okay. So again, it's not a misstatement, was it?
No.
Okay. Now let's talk about the other evidence, the evidence that Mr. Dean just elicited too. I understand we're here, the verdict's been rendered, but does asking to smoke weed tell you how Quentin Simon died?
No.
Okay. Does getting drunk at Stingrays tell you how Quentin Simon died?
No.
Okay. Does having an electronic relationship with a child molester from Wisconsin tell you how Quentin Simon died?
No.
Okay. Does fraternizing with someone in drug treatment tell you how Quentin Simon died?
No.
Okay. Does a criminal trespass conviction tell you how Quentin Simon died?
No.
Okay. So disagreeing with what Talia McCarty said, saying she's a liar, does that tell you how Quentin Simon died?
No.
So I'm just curious, how do any of these things add to aggravation?
I think it shows her state of mind during it all and her lack of responsibility and disdain for her child.
Okay. And that's your opinion, correct?
It is.
And that's the opinion that has just been driving this case since October 5th of 2022, isn't it?
No.
All the questions.
Anything further?
Not for this witness, Your Honor.
All right. Detective, you may step down. Mr. Dean, you may call your next witness.
Your Honor, I understand that Talia McCarty would like to address the court, so we would call her now.
The evidence you shall give the court on the issue pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. This is not like the trial in the sense that I don't have a bunch of questions prepared for you at this point, okay?
Yes, sir.
This is your opportunity to tell the judge what Quentin meant to you and how this has all impacted you, and I suppose your family more generally. So have you thought about what you would like to say to the judge about Quentin?
Quentin was like a little brother to me. Quentin meant a lot. Just seeing him smile every day, waking up next to him, he would stay at the house a lot. Missing him every day, not waking up to see Quentin, not being able to go get Quentin no more. It's a lot. My family loved him a lot. I missed him walking around the house with cheese in his hand saying bubbles. I miss him just lighting up the room. I miss looking at his little bow legs just run across the kitchen. So he gets justice.
Let me ask you this, and this is not something that we've talked about before, but it does occur to me to ask you the question. If Leilani had just come to you and your family and said, look, I can't handle all three of these children. Will you take this one? What do you think your mom would have said to that?
My mom would have took Quentin in a heartbeat. There would have been no hesitation. Quentin, it was like he was blood to us. It was a connection with Quentin. It was a connection with all the kids. But Quentin, my mom would have never said no or nothing. She would have just took him in a heartbeat if she could have.
One moment, please. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, sir.
Thank you very much.
Let me step down. Well, just a moment. Ms.
I
Talia?
don't have any questions.
Okay. All right, Mr. Dean, you may call your next witness.
State restaurant.
Thank you. All right, turning to the defense, Mr. Hilliard, Mr. Purse.
I'd like to call Paul Simon, Judge.
Okay, is Mr. Simon present?
The evidence you shall give the court on the issue pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
So help me God.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Simon.
Hello, how you doing today?
Mr. Simon, you understand why we're here, correct? Yeah. And I've asked you to come forward and speak in mitigation about your sister Leilani. Okay. We're not here to argue with the verdict. The verdict's been rendered, but we are here to try and basically tell the court about Leilani. And so you've asked to speak. And is there anything you'd like to tell the court before the court imposes sentence, Paul?
So growing up, Leilani is my closest sibling. Growing up, she was always there for me whenever I needed her. Whenever I needed advice about anything, didn't matter what it was, she would always give it to me to the best of her ability. So, I mean, I love her. She's my sister. You know, I love Quentin. That's my nephew. You know, I love him just like he was my own blood. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna sit here and live in the past when all I have is days ahead of me, and I'm gonna keep moving forward.
Okay. And with Leilani, whenever you lived in the house when this was going on, correct? How was she with the children at that point in time?
She was always pretty fair to them. I never saw her hit them. She would yell at them, but I mean, everybody gets frustrated. So,
right.
I never really saw her hit them. You know, when Quentin and Zane and Sky, when they were all outside, she was out there watching them, making sure that none of them got too close to the pool. At a certain point, Zane would finally put his feet into the pool without throwing a tantrum, you know. So I never saw no abuse, never saw no bruises, besides from, like, you know, maybe Quentin running through the house and falling. I mean, can't help that. He was bow-legged. I mean, he could barely walk as it was.
You were close to Quentin, weren't you?
I was. He would come up to me and put his arms over my legs, and I just sit there and bounce him. 20, 30 minutes later, still going. You know, he'd wear me out. He'd beat me up.
Well, that being said, do you have an eye towards what you think the court should do with Leilani? I mean, the court's limited to either life with or without parole. And what are you here asking the court to do with Leilani's sentence? In
my opinion, she needs to spend time in prison, but at the same time, she's still extremely young. And regardless of how it looks, at the end of the day, she's still my sister. And I feel like even though she was convicted of what she was convicted of, she still deserves a chance, even if it's later in her life, to have an opportunity to live her life still.
And that's what you're asking for, correct? It's life with parole, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I just want to be clear, okay?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else you wanted to tell the court about your sister?
Just I love you, sis. I hope you make it through it.
And Mr. Dean might have some questions for you, Paul, okay?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Simon, you may step down. Hill.
The evidence you shall give the court on the issue pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's take your name, please, ma'am.
My name is Kimberly Hill.
Okay, and Ms. Hill, how do you know Ms. Leilani Simon?
Me and Leilani met when we were young, 15, 16. I was 15, she was 16.
Ms. Hill, I can tell you're on soft. I'm gonna ask you to scoot up a little bit to the mic.
Is this better?
That is much better.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to speak up. They're recording everything we say and do.
I completely understand.
All right.
We met when I was 15 and she was 16. We met through a mutual friend. We were both very young. It was before kids. And she was so kind. I was very clueless and dumb at 15. I came from a very sheltered home, and she could have taken advantage of me very easily. But she didn't. Instead, she showed me everything. I mean, she showed me all around Savannah. She showed me how to act and how to talk, and in a setting that it was very awkward as a kid. She really helped me through all of that. And she was very kind to me. Like I said, she had the opportunity to take advantage of me, and she didn't. We were friends for a couple of years, and I was away for about 2 years, a year and a half or so we didn't really get to talk that much. And by the time I reconnected, she had her first baby, and we would hang out quite often. She was always concerned about him. Always, every time I saw her, whether it was the first child or after the second child, it was always, I'm going to be better. I'm going to do better. I'm doing better. I'm working towards something better. She always made an effort, and you could tell that she cared, even if she made the wrong decisions.
And you understand why we're here today, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what's your most recent interaction with Ms. Simon?
About 6 months to a year prior to everything that had happened, I did distance myself just because I could tell we were going in different directions in life.
You can be honest. What did you mean by that?
She was hanging around the wrong crowd from what I presumed, and I was going to college. I was getting my degree. I was working in a very professional setting, and I just didn't have time to go all the way out. It was very far where I was living. I was in Savannah. I can't remember where it was, but it was about an hour and a half near Waynesboro. It was pretty far. So it was just very difficult to see her, and I also didn't want to get caught up in anything just in case. I wasn't aware of anything, but I didn't want to be aware of anything if there was.
And that was probably, if not correct, 2021, early 2022?
Like late 2020, early 2021 is probably around the last time that we had hung out.
Have you reconnected with her since then, since this all transpired, or no?
No, sir.
So basically your experience was as teenagers for the most part.
From 15 to 2021.
Okay. So for about 5 years.
Yes, sir.
Just trying to nail it down.
Of course.
And you understand what we're here for, but that's the person you remember, is that
yes, sir,
kind, gentle soul.
Even though everything happened, it wouldn't be right for me to not come here and speak on what I experienced.
And that's all the questions I have. Is there anything further you'd like to add?
I hope you're doing okay.
And Mr. D might have some questions for you. Okay. Thank you. Just give me 1 second.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Hill, you may step down. Mr. Howell.
The evidence you shall give the court on the issue pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes. Good afternoon, Judge.
State your name, please, sir.
Thomas Howell.
Okay. Mr. Howell, how are you related to Miss
I
Simon?
am Leilani's stepfather.
And how long have you been her stepfather?
Well, about going on 12 years.
So not like 2 years ago.
No,
or 3
sir.
years ago. So it's been a while.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you helped raise her, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you're married to Billy Joe, just
Yes,
to be
sir.
clear, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Danny and Leilani and Quentin and Zane and Sky were all living with y'all in October of 2022, correct?
Yes, sir.
And at that point in time, either you and Billy Joe were working or you were at home, right?
Yes, sir.
And just to be clear, how long would y'all be gone when you're out working?
Well, at that time I was working in Anderson, South Carolina. And so some weekends I'd have to work weekends. So I stayed there the whole week. The other weekends, when I did only work we work usually our standard hours is 4 10s. So I'd come home on the weekends and then go back Monday morning.
So it's normally like 4 on, 3 off.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's what I was trying to get to. So you'd be gone for 4 days and back for 3 days.
Yes, sir. Monday through Thursday. I'd come back Thursday night.
Right. So, and you understand we're here for sentencing today, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you also understand the sentencing is limited. I mean, it's either going to be life with parole or life without parole, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I'm asking you to tell the court what you'd like to tell the court about Leilani in fashioning that sentence.
Well, Leilani was very smart. In school, she could pretty much take a test and not study for it and pass it. I mean, that's how smart she was. And like I say, when you're not on drugs, you're a total different person. And Leilani just got into drugs, and it just, I guess maybe you could say, made her somebody different. And pretty much all I'm asking is that she have a chance one day to come out in the world and I understand, but nobody knows what happened to that young. Nothing's been proven what happened to him. And I just would ask for one day she'd be able to walk amongst us. I mean, I probably won't be here. I mean, I'm up in age, but that she'd at least be given one more chance in life instead of just putting her away and throwing away the key.
Anything further you want to add, Mr. Howell?
No, sir.
Mr. Dean, I have some questions for you.
All right.
Okay?
Sir, I have no questions for you. All right.
You will sit down, Mr. Howell.
Thank you.
Next is Jackie Madden, Judge.
Jackie Madden.
The evidence you shall give the court on the issue pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Would you spell your name for the court reporter, please?
Yes, Jackie, Jackie, Madden, Madden.
All right. Mr. Healy.
Thank you, Ms. Madden. How do you know Ms. Simon, Ms. Madden?
Biologically, I'm her aunt, but I raised her about half of her life. I love her like she's my own daughter.
And what years did you raise her?
From 2002, gosh, till she was about 9, and then she went to live with her mom, and then again when she was 11.
Until about when?
That was a little better than a year, and then she went back to stay with her mom.
And during that time frame, tell me what you remember about her.
Oh gosh. I've written it all out. I don't know if it's appropriate to read it now or later.
That's completely up to you. Whatever you got to say it now.
This is the easiest. Obviously, I have a different relationship with Leilani. I know a different Leilani than what is depicted, than what is splattered all over everywhere. My husband and I raised Leilani for about half of her life. Her younger brother was with us the majority of his life. We are blessed to have her in our lives. Because she was in our lives full time, we were able to see a Leilani that has not been depicted over the last 2 years. Leilani was happy, full of life, still is. Unfortunately, she's not able to show it right now. She has the biggest, beautiful smile. She's beautiful inside and out. We watched her protect her younger brother. Gosh, she protected Paul like there's no tomorrow. She would protect him against others, whatever that took. She helped him with school. She was happy to help interpret him when needed. He had speech difficulties. And sometimes was difficult to understand, but being just a little better than a year apart, she could sometimes understand, and she had better language skills than he did. She did very well in school. She attended a Montessori school for her younger elementary school years, which requires independent learning, responsibility for a student's coursework. It requires the ability to make decisions about how one completes their weekly assigned work. Her progress was similar to that of her classmates. Her teachers rarely had concerns with her academic abilities. As a teenager in middle school, she experienced bullying. Although this was concerning, she still excelled. She was proud to be successful in school and took ownership of her responsibilities as a student. Does all of this mean that she was a perfect student? Absolutely not. Does it mean that she didn't make mistakes as a young adult, as a teenager, as a child? No, it does not. We all do. We've all gone through that. We know what it's like to be a child. We know what it's like to make mistakes. We do it as adults all the way up until the time we pass away. She was independent. She did her chores without being directed to. She was responsible. She eagerly fixed dinner if her mom worked late, and I did experience that, so it's not hearsay. She could follow directions, both written and oral, if needed to prepare a meal. She was a good cook, and she loved it. I've watched her and my sister come together and have the best time doing so. They'd laugh, be silly, and have fun. The end product was a great meal. It was never a chore or work for her. She was always eager and sometimes sheepish or reserved to learn new things. She loved to help others. My mom, her grandmother, always needed help around the house. She would go help her often, several days a week. There was a 40 to 45-minute drive one way, but that didn't matter to her. Sometimes my mom gave her gas money, but not always. Leilani would go regardless. She loves her Mima. The grandsons, however, they're just too busy. They had their own lives. They rarely went over there. So this helped increase my mother's and Leilani's bond, as Leilani had the most time with my parents. Now we get to Leilani as a mom, and this is what I saw. I didn't see her every day. It was on occasion. But this is what I saw every time I saw her. Leilani loved and displayed love for all three of her children equally. I never saw her treat any of them differently. I never saw her discipline them by means other than verbal redirection. They, the children, were never hit, grabbed, shoved, hollered at, talked down to or about, called names. They were never disciplined by any derogatory means. The children were clean within reason. They're boys. Boys are dirty. They do it quickly. Boys climb. They fall down, and sometimes they fall up. They play hard and sometimes rough. All of these things make for dirty boys who often have boo-boos, owies, and bruises. I've raised 3 of them, so I'm very well versed in that. They weren't filthy in a manner upon which they appeared uncared for or abused. The boys were healthy in appearance. I never saw them malnourished or starving. Quentin, though, with his beautiful soul, beautiful smile, and lovable legs, loved food. He always tried anything new without hesitation and liked most of it. He was a happy child, and he loved to eat, and it was never because he was unfed. That boy just loved to eat. I speak a lot of the boys because I had the most time with them. We only had 5 months with their sister due to this tragedy. The little I saw of her with her mom, she was completely in love with her. She was so proud to be her mom. She was proud of and loved all 3 of her children equally. She never treated any of them differently, even when they had extra challenges. The oldest definitely had extra challenges and could be a little difficult to take care of sometimes. Of course, she had experience with that too, because so does Paul. He was diagnosed with autism when he was a young child. So we had lots of challenges there. There's a lot of conversation in and out of the courts displaying Leilani as a monster who mistreated and neglected her children, especially Quentin. I never saw neglect, but she would pass off some of their care on to others from time to time. The children never resisted going to or with their mom. They loved her and loved being with her. Regardless of what the media and testimony says, I have seen the children go into hysterics upon drop-off at the babysitter's house. This happened the day after Sky was born. We were instructed to take the kids over there. When we did, immediately I pulled up in the driveway and both children went to crying. No, 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 they said. No, and cried the entire time as I dropped them off. It broke my heart. Literally broke my heart that I had to leave them there knowing that this was not the place they wanted to be. And we don't have a long-term relationship with these children. They see them every day. We don't. We see them 3-4 times a year, and that's it. But they didn't want to stay there. They wanted to go back home with us. The last time I saw Quentin,
There's some tissues if you need them, Miss Madden.
the last time was as Miss Carter's daughter. I don't remember which one it was when I dropped them off. She was taking Quentin into the house. He was the last one to go in, and he was just looking at me crying with his hands out, wanting not to go, to come back with us. That is the biggest heartbreak I will live with the rest of my life. This is important because it helps to show that all is not as has been depicted. All of this may seem that I'm biased or expressing or portraying Leilani as a completely different person than she is perceived to be. I'm not biased. I will tell you when you're doing wrong. Ask my sister. We have fought battle after battle after battle over the years over Leilani and Paul. You see, I did not get to see a Leilani who used drugs. I've heard she did, but I never saw any evidence of it. My experiences of time with Leilani only showed the Leilani I knew from the time she was a baby, as a toddler, as a child, as a preteen, as a teen, as my daughter, and as a mom. None of which was abnormal. It was all the normal things you would have growing up in life. I've already described these experiences, and they did not ever show a Leilani who was unworthy or a drug user. When Leilani moved in with her mom, my love for her never changed. I still saw her as my daughter. Sadly, for me, I chose to simply be an aunt. I chose to let my sister and her mom, chose to let my sister be her mom, not by blood, but by love, care, support, bond, and everything a mom is supposed to be. I knew I had to do this, otherwise Leilani would not get to truly form that bond that she and my sister needed, wanted, and were blessed to form. This was the kind of bond, a beautiful bond, that I saw with Leilani and her own children. I do wish, though, that I had maintained a better bond with her that showed her how much I loved her, because I do. Fast forward to October 5th, 2022. This date and the events and news to follow completely cripples my heart. I searched and searched for a way to describe my feelings about the loss of our precious, loving, beautiful Quentin. After a while, I finally figured it out. I was crippled, completely crippled. Crippled with fear of what was to come, anxiety, uncertainty, lack of understanding and comprehension of how such a thing could happen in our family. After all, as they say, this is what you see in the movies. Hurt, sorrow, dismay, anger. I was and am angry at the fact that drugs caused the tragedy to happen in our family. Drugs took Quentin and Leilani from us. Quentin will forever be in my heart, my thoughts, and loved by me, but his life, his body, his love will never be seen or fulfilled due to the influence of drugs. As for Leilani, her life will never be the same. Angry that even though Leilani and Danny were both present in the room with Quentin and the other two children, only Leilani was charged and convicted with the murder of our precious little Quentin. Angry that there's no evidence provided by the prosecution or otherwise presented during the trial that 100% proves that she was the one who murdered and disposed of Quentin's body. Angry that they both, Leilani and Danny, provided a setting that was dangerous for the children. They both used drugs. They both were under the influence on October 4th and 5th. Both parents, whom had altered abilities to provide proper care for these three children. Drugs led to two parents with altered abilities to function with clear and responsible behavior, rational decision-making, that caused the death and loss of our Quentin. Angry that drugs took away Quentin, his siblings, and Leilani from our lives, from our family. Therefore, the only way to simplify the way my head and heart could process this into a single definition was, it's crippled. This will never go away. Now, all of this said, do I think there should be consequences for Leilani? Absolutely, yes. I do feel that she needs counseling. I do feel that she needs to complete a long-term multi-step drug rehab program. I do feel that she needs to complete multiple parenting classes. I've seen the difference that counseling and parenting classes have made for my sister. I know this isn't about my sister, but my sister affects Leilani. My sister, is definitely a better person, a better judge of character, and decision maker. I struggle to say jail time for Leilani because my heart struggles. My heart struggles to accept this as reality for my child, my daughter, my niece, my nephew. My love is never ending for her and her children, including Quentin. The loss of a child is the worst hurt anyone can ever feel. My own daughter, born August 2nd, 1989, at 3 months premature, weighing 1 pound 14 ounces, died on December 25th, 1989. She was born with chronic lung disease, which gave us limited time with her. I've never in my life felt such a loss, such hurt. I bring that up because my heart hurts for Leilani as she will surpass the feelings I endured as a result in the manner which she lost her son. This will be a permanent imprisonment for her. It'll never go away. It'll eat at her the rest of her life. Whether she is responsible for this or Danny is responsible for this, it doesn't matter. She has lost her son. She has lost her 3 children. No matter if the other 2 are alive or not, she has lost them. And she will never be able to get over that ever. This will torture her for the rest of her life. As a Christian, I have to forgive her, and I wholeheartedly do. It is not because I'm a Christian, it's because I do. Does that mean I can forget? Absolutely not. Does it mean it won't hurt? No. Does that mean it changes the situation and the blame? Absolutely not. I do blame her and Danny. Only the 2 of them know what happened that night. The horror that resulted lies on both of them. One is just as guilty as the other, and both should suffer the consequences. The Leilani that I described in here, the Leilani that I know, is not the Leilani that would take the life of her son, that would do this horrible thing.
Miss Madden, just to perfect the record, you kept saying your sister. I want to be clear. You're talking about Miss Howell, correct?
I am, yes.
Okay. And you understand the judge is bound by only 2 sentences, okay? It can only be life without parole or life with parole. And to be clear on that as well, you're asking the court to impose a life with parole sentence, correct?
Parole would be great, but it would also be good if these other things that I mentioned, the counseling, I know it's not required. I know, but I'm going to say it anyway. It would be great if these things could happen because that will help her. It will help to make her a better person. It will help to take this out of her life. I know prison is coming. That doesn't mean that there's not access to these things. And without these things, it's the likelihood of it changing is limited.
That's all the questions I have. Miss Madden and Mr. Dean might have some questions for you, okay?
No question.
Thank you. You may sit down, Miss Madden.
Next, we have Billy Joe Howell, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Howell.
The information you shall give the court on
This right here is going to be probably pretty hard to listen to.
Yes.
If you would, ma'am, state your name and spell it for the court reporter.
Billy Joe Howell. It's Billy, Billie, Joe, J-O, Howell, Howell.
And you are Miss Simon's mother, correct?
Yes.
And you understand what we're here for today, correct?
Yes, sir, I do.
And I've asked you to come forward and if you wanted to make a statement on Leilani's behalf, did I not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you understand the court is the only sentence in the state of Georgia on a murder conviction is either life with or life without parole. You understand that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you still having a chance to address the court and say what's on your mind. Would you like to do that?
Yes, sir.
And you can either speak naturally or I can ask you questions or you can read from a prepared statement if you'd like to, Ms. Howell. Which do you prefer? Not trying to put you on the spot, but you were unsure before.
I am still unsure.
Okay.
I know drugs has taken and had a huge impact on our entire lives. Even as Leilani's childhood, I failed her as a mom. I allowed addiction to take over my life at a young age. And you and your brother were just babies. And you lived with my sister. And I made sure you were okay. And through those times, it was still really hard on you because you wanted your mom. Just like I know they're going to want their mom. When you come to live with me, I'd already changed my life. And I'd been working really hard. But I had changed my addiction from drugs to work. And I still neglected your needs, your emotional needs. I still wasn't there for you to be your mom. My decisions have played an impact on things that have happened in your life. And there's absolutely nothing I can do to take it away. But I'm working every day, Leilani, every day between counseling and parenting classes and taking other classes because I want to be better. Because I have to believe that it's still not too late and that we still have a chance, regardless of what it looks like. Quentin and the other children changed my life even more. And I was so afraid for you that I never let you fail. I always just scooped right in and fixed everything, which wasn't good for you. It didn't allow you to grow and to be able to make good decisions for yourself. I do take accountability today. Because I should have been a better mom and a better grandma. I should have seen something. You deserved better, and so do your children, all three of them. We might not be able to bring Quentin back, but he needs to come home, and we're all going to hold him one last time. I just want to make it better, Leilani, and I don't know how. All I can do is be here for you and answer every phone call. Talk to you and be there. Listen, really listen. I'm really listening. I love you and we're going to get through it because I raised you to know that I love you unconditionally. And today I do not put conditions on that because I love you. I love you. I love you, Leilani.
Let me ask some questions. Did you ever see, we heard a lot of this during the trial. Was there ever any of this favoritism towards Zane or Sky or Quentin was the outcast?
No, sir. Never.
Okay. And did you ever see Leilani maltreat or withhold food from Quentin?
Never.
And you understand the sentence is what
Yes,
can be life without or life with. And do you think that Leilani is so far gone she should get a life without parole sentence?
No, I don't. Because I wasn't so far gone. I'm not. And I refuse to let somebody make me believe that I am. I may be too late for a lot of things, but I'm here today. I'm here.
So you're asking the court to impose a life with parole sentence, correct?
Yes.
Anything else you want to say before Mr. Dean asks you some questions?
Yes, sir.
That's all the questions I got, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Hilliard.
You're her mom.
Yes.
Since day one, you have, and I mean day one of the investigation, when Quentin being reported missing,
Yes.
you have been there for her.
Yes.
You were out of town when it happened, but you came back quickly.
Yes.
You have talked to her a lot, right?
Yes.
But before she was ever arrested and since she's been jailed, right?
Yes.
Is she, you understand the jury has now convicted her of murdering Quentin with intent to kill him. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
12 neutral, unbiased citizens taking a cold look at the evidence and said that is what happened here, beyond a reasonable doubt. You get that, right?
Yes, sir.
In all of the conversations you've had with her, has she ever taken responsibility for doing that?
No, she hasn't. But she has taken responsibility for her drug use.
I know that you've taught her to take responsibility for her actions, because when she says in the news interview, if it comes out that I'm responsible, I'll take responsibility. And she said that separately another time to the police. And I believe that that is coming from your upbringing of her. Do you think that's fair?
Yes, sir, I do.
Has she ever actually done it in this case, though?
No, she hasn't.
She hasn't admitted to you that she killed Quentin.
No, she hasn't.
She hasn't told you how.
No, sir.
She's said things to you about, well, I just don't remember, and I'm not sure, and I'm trying to piece it together, and things like that, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that the evidence has just not been consistent with that kind of claim? Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
That, evidence shows that she made this very calculated drive to the dumpsters, scattered rice cereal in her car, drafted a text message to Danny about what she was supposedly doing on that trip, came Oragel, told a bunch of lies about it to the police, right?
Yes, sir. I watched the trial.
And none of that is consistent with her just not knowing what happened. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. But even still, despite all the conversations you've had, despite you being her mother, the person that she had to confide in, she hasn't even taken responsibility privately in confidence to you.
No, she hasn't.
Is that frustrating to you?
Yes, it is.
Do you wish she would just come out and admit to you as her mother?
Yes. Yes, I do.
One moment. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. Mr. Hilliard.
I'm a little confused, Ms. Howell, because being convicted of something doesn't necessarily mean you did it, does it?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't.
So if you're convicted of something you didn't do and you don't admit to it, it doesn't mean you did it. I mean, just because you're convicted of it.
That's correct.
So being convicted of something is not the same thing as admitting something you actually did now, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you can be convicted of something you didn't do, right?
Yes, sir.
You can be acquitted of something you did do, right?
Yes, sir.
And there's all manner of things in between, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all the questions I got.
Anything further, Mr. Dean?
No, you're not.
Ms. Howell, you may step down. Any further witnesses, Mr. Hilliard?
I have to give my client an opportunity to allocute if she wants to, but I think that we've already discussed it. I don't think she wants to testify, Judge, but I think that you have to make that information.
Ms. Simon.
BJ did a really good job.
Ms. Simon, we've come to the place where you have the opportunity to testify if you choose to do so. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
You still have the right to testify, and you also have the right not to testify. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
No one can make you testify. And whether or not you testify or make a statement is solely your choice, not your attorney's choice, but your choice. You also understand that if you choose to testify and you take the stand, then the state will have an opportunity to ask you questions as well.
Yes.
And you understand that we are at the point where there's evidence in aggravation and mitigation, and all of this I will consider in determining the sentence today. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Simon, do you wish to testify?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. You have a seat.
And just for the record, we've discussed it, Judge, and several times. And if she has any questions, she knows she can ask me again at this point. But other than that, we're ready to move into just argument phase.
Okay. Let's move into argument then. Mr. Dean.
Your Honor, I will reserve.
I can approach, Judge.
You certainly may.
One ministerial thing. Early in this case, before I got it, the public defender's office had filed a motion to preserve notes, evidence, and things as such. For the last 2 years, we've tried to figure out why they couldn't release Clinton's remains. It seems that motion is the holdup. I spoke with Mr. Dean last week. I spoke with Ms. Simon. At this point in time, we withdraw that motion from here on out to preserve. That way the remains can go ahead and be released back to the family for appropriate burial. And whatever orders need to be put on to do that, I will get with Mr. Dean and I will do that.
Before Mr. Hilliard gets into the substance of his argument, may I respond and we kind of bring this issue to a conclusion?
Yes.
That'd be okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just to clarify, this was during the period of time that the defendant was represented by previous counsel. It was Robert Attridge, Joseph Vinieri, and maybe Caitlin Walker. I believe it was Mr. Vinieri sending me an email asking me to ensure that Quentin's remains, which by that time had come down from the FBI lab in Quantico to the GBI lab in Pooler, I think. It sent me an email asking me to ensure that the remains not be released for interment, but instead retained by law enforcement in case they wanted to request any additional forensic testing. And I got that email and communicated it to law enforcement and asked that they honor that, which they have. Mr. Hilliard's right. That email is why Quentin's remains have not been released to any family members for burial. In advance of today's hearing, after the most recent of a number of requests to the family from the family that we address this issue, I sent Mr. Hilliard and Mr. Person email asking whether Ms. Simon would lift what essentially functions as like a hold on Quentin's remains on the record, so that we can safely release Quentin's remains to the family for burial or cremation or whatever it is that they ultimately decide to do. Because I very much respect the request and agree that it's probably something that ought to happen. We could agree to that without being accused of spoliation or something like that later on down the line. So I'm happy to hear that they're willing to do that. If I would ask that the court inquire of Ms. Simon personally about that and confirm that she's okay with that, so that everybody can then move forward.
And I was going to get to that next, Judge. I've had the discussion with her about spoliation and to preserve the record for appeal. we had that discussion, and I'll let her answer for herself in a second. But we understand it could affect the appeal going forward, but she felt that it was more important for the family to be able to bury Quentin than to preserve any possible testing for future references. And I told her both the positives and the negatives of it. Is that correct, Leilani?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I'll let the court engage in a colloquy about that. But we did discuss it, though, correct? Right?
Yes, we did. And Ms. Simon, you've heard the discussion that's going on right now about Quentin's remains.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a hold placed on the release of the remains in case there was any further testing that needed to be done. And that request was actually made by the attorneys who originally represented you. You understand that?
Yes,
The release will happen, but we want to make sure that's what you would like to do. Would you like for his remains to be released to the family?
yes. Most specifically, my brother who's here today, Paul Simon. I would like him to be the one that they're released to.
Now, I don't know how logistically how that works.
I don't know. That has more to do with probate and administration, and I don't know anything about that.
So I think who they're ultimately released to is kind of not our lane. I think that's between like the GBI and the coroner and the police and all that. I think our only concern here is whether, as a result of the defense's requests to the state, they're going to continue to be prevented from being released to anybody at all or not.
And I understand that, Mr. Dean. I understand that makes sense. So who the remains will be released to is a matter that's beyond this court. Okay. But you agree to have the remains released?
Yes, Mr. Hillary spoke to me about it on Sunday when he found out about it. I waited until yesterday so I could think about it. But my son's been through enough. He's been through enough.
And Ms. Simon, do you have any further questions about that?
No, ma'am.
And I would like to, I discussed with you that there could be further testing and science could advance in the years to come.
I know why there would be a downfall. I understand that there's still matter with the and I want my baby home. I just want to vote.
All right, thank you, Ms. Simon. You may have
I wanted to clear that up. My argument's simple, Judge. We're asking for a life with parole sentence. It's only life with or life without. I understand Mr. Dean gave this long list here, but at the end of the day, she's a young lady, and life in Georgia, at least, is 35 to 40 years before your first eligibility for parole with parole. That puts her in her late 60s, early 70s. Mid 60s to late 60s to early 70s. We understand that we're talking about the death of a 20-month-old child. But Your Honor sat through the trial, and we don't know the manner or method in which it occurred. We still don't, and that's an issue for an appeal, which will go up. The question is whether or not she's someone who should be stuck away for the rest of her life without any possibility of seeing the light of day again. And I urge to you, there's nothing about her criminal history, which is pretty much non-existent until this. There's nothing about her life, which shows that she is above any redemption or rehabilitation. The people who know her best have asked the court for a life with parole sentence. So we're asking the court for that. I understand why Mr. Dean wants to do all of these fines. I get it. I understand why he wants to ask for consecutive sentences. I get it. But to me, the ultimate question is whether it's life with or life without parole. And we think that she deserves life with parole. We think she deserves a shot at coming out again one day. Because it's not just about fashioning a sentence that punishes the crime. You have to realize that the offender is going to be serving the time as well. And while the offender is serving the time, there has to be something to maintain hope or institutional behavior. And in this particular case, I think a life with parole sentence would serve that purpose. So I understand the severity of the crime that she's been convicted of. I understand Mr. Dean's position. I don't agree with it. I don't think there's anything about this case necessarily that means that she's unredeemable or should never see the light of day again. So we're asking the court to give life with parole. We're asking the court to merge the false statements and the concealing of death. We're asking the court to not impose a fine, as a life with parole sentence is what it means, life with parole. So there's no manner or method or ability to pay a fine. And I understand the reason why Mr. Dean wants to do that, but I just don't see that there's any ability to pay. So that's what we're asking, and we're leaving it with the court. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Hilliard. Mr. Dean.
Your Honor, will be relieved to hear that I do not have an hour and a half long PowerPoint to present to the court, but I do want to talk for a couple minutes. I'll start with the big picture of what the evidence shows, both through the trial and then the evidence that we've added today. Just, a few simple bullet points here. The defendant didn't like Quentin. There's credible evidence of that. Jury evidently found it credible. Had some witnesses come in and dispute that today, but I would submit that they are not the most objective sources of information on that. Her dislike for Quentin was not a result of any drug problem. It's totally independent of that. If you combine the testimony of Melanie Bowling and Talia McCarta and Michelle McCarta, it spanned his entire life. Has nothing to do with drugs whatsoever. She murdered him, and the jury has found that she had the specific intent to kill when she did so. And this sets this case apart from cases in which the jury only makes a finding of guilt on felony murder, but acquits on malice murder. The jury does not do that. And there's a great deal of aggravation. Some of the aggravation is charged as independent offenses, concealing the death and false statements and false report of a crime and so forth. Some of it is not. The aggravation includes her covering it up in a deliberate, calculating, and very manipulative way. It involved totally shameless and reprehensible attempts to blame people without conscience, right? Just no compunction about blaming other people who were totally innocent of this and who in fact loved Quentin very much. She behaved in a way that shows a total lack of remorse, both during the investigation, when on day one, she's asking Paul, hey, to get some weed to smoke when we get home. On October 18th, when the police have announced that they're about to start searching for Quentin's little body in the landfill, she's out at Stingray's getting drunk and flirting with the waiter, in a continuation of what we talked about at trials, kind of what the theory was here, that a lot of this had to do with her need for male attention. This seems to have continued. She behaved in a way that shows absolutely no remorse and no compunction about what she did during her pretrial investigation and during the trial itself, as we've tried to show here today. Even to her mother, her closest confidant, who taught her to take responsibility for your actions, which is something that Billie Joe Howell, has done. I mean, she did it here today. She talked about all of her missteps and how she pulled herself out of them. She took no responsibility even to her mother, who taught her those things and was her close confidant. It's one thing to not admit to the police what you did and not take any responsibility to the police. It's kind of another thing to treat your mother, whom you claim to love so much, the same way. The upshot of all this is that she just doesn't seem sorry at all. She really doesn't seem sorry. She seems sorry that she got caught. She seems sorry that she's gonna she had to stand trial. She seems sorry that she's gonna go to prison for a long time only question here is whether it's forever for her. But she doesn't really seem sorry about what she did. If she had been sorry about this at any point, there were a million off ramps. After killing Quentin, she could have just not thrown his body in a dumpster. You know, we get these abusive head trauma, child homicide cases. In typically, the fact pattern is the perpetrator does the thing, they do the act, and then they just say to the police, "Oh, you know, I found him in the crib like this, and I don't know why he's not breathing, or there was some sort of accident or something like this." She could have played it that way after killing Quentin. She could have. So that's like off ramp number one is just don't throw him in the dumpster. Don't do that. And at any time, she could have stopped telling lies, just refused to talk at all. Certainly didn't have to blame anybody else. She could have just said she didn't know. Certainly didn't have to blame like 3 or 4 different people. So she doesn't seem sorry at all. And she's taken no responsibility. And she seems to sort of think that she's kind of at least playing as though she's the victim. I would ask the court to look at this letter to WTOC and really read it, in which she's playing the role of like a detached commentator evaluating the evidence. And she'd sure love to know what happens. But, you know, the problem is she just keeps running into these gaps in the evidence. And that's really frustrating to her because she wants to know what happened. And it's just so infuriating and bizarre because, you know, obviously she knows what happened because she's the one who did it. It is bizarre, it is infuriating, and it is quite frankly insulting to everyone's intelligence, and really makes a mockery of the process. There's been this effort to blame it on drugs and mental health issues. Mr. Hilliard is too smart and savvy and experienced to try to do that directly, because I think he knows that you don't come in and say, "Judge, it was the drugs." But some of the witnesses maybe don't have that level of experience and were willing to just say it was the drugs. The drugs did it. To medicalize it, to kind of shift responsibility from her onto her conditions or these substances. Lots of people have tough upbringings. Lots of people take drugs, but very few of them kill their own child. We're familiar with words like homicide, killing somebody else, suicide, killing yourself, fratricide, killing your brother, or biological, or your brother in arms. Even infanticide. There's a word for this, the court may or may not know, filicide, killing your own child who's not an infant. A lot of people don't know that word. And the reason a lot of people don't know that word is it just doesn't happen often. It is a heinous thing to do. So heinous, in fact, that people do it very infrequently. And that's what she did. The drugs did not do that. I'll point out something about the drugs in this case. It's easy for people to get up there and kind of say without really examining like how this would work or how what this really means is, oh, you know, the drugs caused her to do it. Let's look at the substances that she was on that night. Cocaine, Percocet, marijuana. None of these substances are the kind of substances that are going to induce like a psychosis and essentially turn you into a different person or make you do something that you have no control over. You hear about that sort of thing, I guess like bath salts and things like that. But that is just that's not what she was on. It wasn't anything like that. And it's a total red herring to say that the drugs did it. What she did to him was something that was inside of her already. It was inside of her already. Maybe the drugs lowered her inhibitions. Maybe they acted as an accelerant. Maybe they're like, you know, the match to the candle or something like that. But that didn't cause her to do what she did. She did it. The drugs are not responsible for it. She is. She just did a wicked thing, and she needs to take responsibility for it. And so our recommendation is a total sentence of life without the possibility of parole, plus 65 years and a fine of $117,000. The maximum that I calculate is available under the law. I've emailed the court separately that the count by count breakdown. I won't go through that here. And the justification for the fine. That is essentially our goal there is to ensure that if the defendant ever attempts to profit from her crimes by signing a book deal or taking a paid interview, that there will be an existing financial obligation that will cause at least some of the money, up to $117,000, to be diverted to defray some of the costs associated with her conduct in this case. Now, that brings me to kind of the last question, which is really separate and apart from whether the court judges a fine here, is why life without parole and not life? That's really the only question, is whether the court is going to impose the additional punishment of the life sentence never being parolable. And you know, it's a reasonable thing for the defense to say, gosh, life is a serious sentence. 30 years before you become parole eligible is a long time. And that's true. And we are here asking the court to go above that and to impose the maximum. And I'd like to kind of defend why and argue why. When we talk about sentencing, we talk about the principles of punishment. There are a number of them. We learn them in law school, and they come up in sentencing arguments. And Mr. Hilliard has gestured at some of them, rehabilitation and things like that. And I'll just kind of walk through these. One of the principles of punishment that we talk about is incapacitation, which is incapacitating the offender from committing a similar offense. Somebody is so dangerous, they just need to be locked up to keep them off the street. Now, can I say that incapacitation, the need for incapacitation, justifies the additional sentence of life without parole here? Not really. I don't think that principle of punishment is the justification. That she's so dangerous that life with the possibility of parole is not sufficient. Next, we have deterrence, both specific and general. Specific deterrence meaning the need to have a serious enough sentence that it deters her from doing something similar, and general deterrence, that it deters other people in the community who might contemplate doing the same thing from doing it. I don't know that that's really in play here either. I don't think she needs life without parole versus life to not do it again. And I don't know that there's anybody out there who's contemplating killing their child who's going to go through with it if she gets life without the possibility of parole, but won't go through with it if she gets life without the possibility of parole. And then we have rehabilitation, the need for rehabilitation. I cannot say that there's no chance she could be rehabilitated, that she's totally beyond rehabilitation. I think the court could reasonably find that. I think there's a lot of evidence here that she is incorrigible. But I can't say for sure that after 30 years, she's so beyond the hope of rehabilitation that she has to stay in on that basis, that she just can't be rehabilitated. And so where we end up is at the last principle of punishment that I know of, and that is retribution. Punishment because you deserve it. A harsh punishment because you deserve it by virtue of what you did and how you acted. Not dressed up as being, towards rehabilitation or towards deterrence, but just punishment as a matter of moral desert. This sometimes gets a bad rap. I've heard it described as the least morally defensible principle of punishment. That somehow punishment dressed up as being for rehabilitation or being for deterrence is somehow morally acceptable. the punishment simply because you deserve it, because of what you did. But I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. For one, it is the principle of punishment that, to the state's view, most lines up with the average person's intuition about what punishment is for and their concept of justice. It is actually okay and right and good to punish people harshly simply because they deserve it and not justify it further. You have to get really educated to learn that universal moral intuition is actually a bad thing or somehow wrong. Now, we sometimes kind of accept that what people say about retribution, retributive punishment, is true, that it is less defensible than the other principles of punishment. But there's not a consensus on this. That is actually not the consensus view. There are a lot of very smart academics and legal philosophers who continue to defend and make the case for retribution. There's an article by a legal academic, Dan Markle. He's a professor at Florida State Law School. Coincidentally and tragically, he was actually murdered himself. But he wrote on retributive punishment. In a 2011 article that I found, he talks about how it has both a communicative function and an expressive function. That punishment, retributive punishment, because you deserve it, a harsh sentence, just because you deserve it and you did a really bad thing, communicates to the defendant the seriousness of what they did and society's lack of acceptance for it. And it performs an expressive function too. Communicates to the defendant the seriousness of what she did. And it forms an expressive function. It expresses to society how seriously the court takes behavior like this. And, I've got some long quotes in here from these articles. I think I will not read them. I think I will just kind of restate that in my words. Another way of saying this is that a severe sentence, here the harshest one under the law is what we're asking for, sends a message to both her and to the community. And she needs the message. Quite frankly, she needs the message. She doesn't get it. She needs to receive a solemn statement from the court that for an offense like this and for aggravating circumstances like this, the only punishment that will do, the only punishment that will adequately get through to her the seriousness of what she's done and just how unacceptable her actions are, is the maximum sentence under the law. That appears to be, at this point, the only thing that the court can do to try to get through to her. This letter to WTOC is dated September of this year. She still doesn't get it. And the court should send her a message. One, this is nonsense. And two, you deserve the most severe sanction that the court can lay on you. The court should send the community a message too. To the people that cared about Quentin, who knew him during his life, he was a child in their lives, and to people who came to know him only after the defendant killed him. And why do these people care about him? Simply because he was a child in their community, and that is enough. The court should send a message to them that their intuition about how monstrous it is for a mother to kill her own child and then act like she acted in the aftermath, and what the price tag for that ought to be, that intuition that they have is entirely correct and is shared by the justice system and by the court, which is really their justice system and their court. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Dean, I was looking for the email, and I believe the computer that I'm looking at has not updated, and I would like to have that before me. Would you also pass up? Yeah, thank you. Okay. I'm going to pronounce sentence. Please stand. The one thing that I will say before pronouncing sentence is clearly little Quentin Simon's life and death impacted many, many individuals, but also the community at large. Leilani Marie Simon, the court sentences you as follows. Count 1, malice murder, felony, life with the possibility of parole. Count 2, felony murder, vacated by operation of law. Count 3, felony murder is vacated by operation of law. Count 4, concealing the death of another, 10 years consecutive to count 1. Count 5, false report of a crime is a misdemeanor, 12 months concurrent to count 4. Count 6, making a false statement, 5 years concurrent with count 4. Count 7, making a false statement concurrent with count 4, 5 years. Count 8, false statement, 5 years consecutive with, concurrent with count 4. Count 9, making a false statement, 5 years concurrent with count 4. Count 10 merges into count 9. Count 11, 5 years concurrent with count 4. Count 12, making a false statement, 5 years concurrent with count 4. Delia, did I get count 11?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Count 13, making a false statement, 5 years concurrent with count 4. Count 14 merges into count 13. Count 15, 5 years concurrent with count 4. Count 16, making a false statement, 5 years concurrent with count 4. Count 17 merges into 16. Count 18, 5 years to serve concurrent with count 4. And false statements, making a false statement, count 19 concurrent with count 4. That is 5 years as well. Is there any issue that the state wants to point out with the sentence and the merger of the counts?
Was count 4, the 10 years to serve on count 4, is that consecutive to count 1?
It is consecutive to count 1.
And may I presume that the court is not imposing any fines?
No. Mr. Hilliard?
So just to make sure, life plus 10 is the operative sentence?
Life plus 10.
Life plus 5. I guess we should do the same thing.
And with that, Ms. Simon, you are hereby notified that under the law of Georgia, you are entitled to appeal the guilty verdict of the court. And if you decide to do so, you must file your appeal within 30 days of this date. You are also informed that you have the right to retain a lawyer of your own choice to represent you on your post-trial motions and appeals to the appropriate appellate court of Georgia. If you cannot afford a lawyer, the court will appoint one for you. You are entitled to and will be given a transcript of all pre-trial, trial, and post-trial matters without cost to you if you cannot afford a transcript. You may file a motion for a new trial, or you may appeal your case directly to the appropriate appellate court of Georgia for review. I'm signing the statement of appeal. I will hand this down to the clerk. If you'll please hand that to Mr. Hilliard.
With the assistance of counsel, Ms. Simon has acknowledged in writing her statement of appeal rights.
And the habeas statement is as follows. You are advised that the statute of limitations for habeas corpus in this state is 4 years in the case of felonies and 1 year in the case of misdemeanors. The statute begins to run from the date the conviction becomes final. May there be peace somehow.
Nothing further from the defense, Judge.
Thank you very much. Anything further?
No, you're
Nothing from the state, nothing from the defense.
No, you're
All right. This concludes this matter. We are adjourned. And Delia, did you get everything?
So what y'all think about that? You think she got what she deserved or what? What are you guys thinking? Good Lord. You speechless, Southernish? Man. Man, I don't even know what to think right now. I don't even know what to think right now. Let's see. Brianna says you have to admit guilt and make changes to get parole. She'll never get out. And yes, running bear, but the second sentence was consecutive. Once the felony murder is served, she has to serve 10 more. Wow. Wow. Well, y'all, I guess that's that for the day then. My God. And it was life with parole. Wait a minute. Now Dolly looked like he was fucking not doing so hot back there, man. I don't know what the fuck was going on. Shit. Went and checked the mail, and I got a Prezi. I got a Prezi yesterday from LuTube, and it is super cute. What's up, just Samantha? How are you, baby?
Girl, you know I got opinions.
Spill them. Spill them.
Well, I will start with, I think that BJ did amazing, and that's what real accountability looks like. And you can tell how much this was weighing on her heart of people blaming her and the guilt, and that she lives with her own guilt. If only she didn't go to work that day. So prayers for her. But this is where I was like, in the beginning, I was getting annoyed because I understand a sentencing hearing.
Right. I'm with you. You cut out, baby. You cut out. You're gone.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
I'm used to victim impact statements, and I think that's the only thing that caught me off guard with this. So the police officer spoke about the baby, the babysitter, and they asked Paul a little bit about Quentin, and I believe that the family chose to save Leilani and make this more about her, which can be like is a little bit frustrating, but at the same time, I understand. And Paul saying we can't live in the past, save my sister, basically, kind of proves back to the trial where I felt like that's what he was doing on the stand.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I still feel like it goes back to nature versus nurture. You know what I mean? Like she lived a rough life. Her mom lived a rough life. She lived a rough life. Her mom tried to provide a better life for her the older she got. But once, you know what I'm saying? Like she apologized to her for her addiction and the things that happened. You know, she said she failed her daughter. She failed her kids. And I feel like Paul was trying to stick to his sister because his sister, besides his mom, is really all he's got. His nieces and nephews. And I feel like him and Quentin had a strong bond. I feel like Paul and Quentin really had a good bond.
Yeah, I wish it was just more about the baby, you know? I felt like it was a little bit for me there for her.
Well, I mean, it's her family and their victim, the victim impact statements. But I mean, I think that they, said what they wanted to say and said what they had to say. And pretty much she's gone for the rest of her life. You know what I mean? There's not going to be another opportunity for them to say any of that.
What do you think about what they said in the beginning? God, is she Wade Wilson it? It's going to be a new trend. Susan Smith using men, making money on the tablet, getting their commissary paid. Just another hustle.
What else she gonna do? She's sitting in jail. What's she gonna do? What else she gonna do? Or prison. Sorry, she about to go to prison. Right? You know what I mean? What else is she gonna do? She ain't got shit else to do. I mean, there's people out there that are like super fans of these kind of people. Like they write them in jail. They send them money. They want to get fucking married to them, and it's like, you know what I mean? You've seen it on Wade Wilson. You've seen the way women flock to him. You know what I'm saying? And he's not the only one that they do that with. Like Chris Watts, they did the same with him. He was getting naked pictures and all kind of shit. You know?
I also think there are certain people, when you grow up around addiction in certain ways, like there's people that are built for prison. And I think that she's that type. She'll play cards. She'll kick it with the girls. She'll get her hair braid. She'll be on her tablet.
Quentin will be the last thing on her mind, in my opinion. She ain't gonna think about that baby. Not at all. In my opinion, not at all.
I don't think she'll get parole either because I think she's also the type that will stack up violations. She'll be making the hooch, and she'll be getting the write up.
But I don't think she'll ever admit it. I don't think she's ever going to say exactly what she did and exactly what happened.
Yeah, I thought the state did really good. Unfortunately, BJ happened to be the one to answer those questions because, he didn't, usually what victim impacts in statements, the attorney just allow them to speak. It's, give them that time. But to ask her the questions was the right person because I do believe in her heart in my opinion, and I could be wrong, I think she knows her daughter's guilty. And to ask her about, not taking the accountability, never telling you what happened, making up the excuses. And as hard as it was, for BJ to answer, she was brutally honest, I think she did great.
Yeah, she was. And, from the beginning, she said, if my daughter is guilty of this, I will take her to the police station and turn her in myself. She, you know what I'm saying? It's not that she didn't want to believe it or that she didn't believe it. It's that, you know what I'm saying? That's a fucking blow to the chest, bro. That's your grandbaby lost at the hands of your child. You know what I mean? Like that's some fucking serious shit. And we're all one step away from a totally different lifestyle. One choice away.
And it shows, like, even the older lady who was speaking,
That
and
was her
then
aunt. That was her
bringing
aunt.
up Danny, though.
And her mom's sister, she looked like she was the one that ended up raising all them kids while BJ went out and partied.
They kept up bringing up Danny, though. And for me, I felt like they were almost making excuses or saying that he can be charged. So if you think about it like that,
Well,
and
I don't
how
know if
can
he
she
got
take
immunity or not.
accountability?
Did he get immunity for testifying or no? I'm not sure if it ever said if he got immunity for testifying or not. If he got immunity, they can't hold him accountable for it. However, they can always come back and charge him with something else.
I don't believe he did.
Tisha gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Tisha. If you guys got one, please make sure you tell her thank you. I appreciate the love and support. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I don't believe Danny got immunity. I don't think he needed it because he cooperated from the get-go, like instantly popping that wire on at the hotel.
Yeah, but I thought he had a deal with them. But you got to think these two. You got two people who were using drugs constantly. You know what I'm saying? Both of them using drugs and having the kids, and obviously they were fighting and not getting along, and shit was going on. So at one point in time, Danny testified that there was cocaine on the dresser and that the kids were running around the house while in the same bedroom while he was snorting cocaine. What I think they were saying is he should be held accountable for, the child neglect and things like that. You know what I'm saying? I guess maybe that's what I'm getting, I don't know.
A lesser charge. Yeah, that would make sense. He did say that. You're right. It seems like
and
maybe,
basically Leilani's putting it off on him, so it's between him and Leilani. Really, it's who's telling the truth, which Leilani lied over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, if only she was just honest, it could have went a whole completely different way. Took responsibility, but it is what it is. I just hope now the family can do the real healing. I mean, we'll see what happens with appeals and stuff like that, but hopefully not having to go to court and have this weighing over you. And she gave up the rights. I mean, one good thing, good job, Leilani. You're going to let them bury the baby instead of holding on to them, which I'm sure her attorney probably told her to. Hey, for further testing down the road for your appeal, we need this baby. And for her to say no, that was one good thing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's sad as hell. It's sad as hell, but you know what? It gives them a lot of closure.
Exactly.
It gives Billy a lot of closure. It gives a lot of people. But you know what I was disappointed in? Quentin's dad never showed up, never testified, never spoke on any of it, never, didn't do any kind of victim impact statement on anything, didn't say anything. You know what I mean? Like he's just.
Was he not involved, or did he have some form of visitation? I don't know the history
He
of
was
the prior
not involved. From my understanding, he was not involved at all.
Yeah, well, if there ever
Not at
was
all.
a time.
He didn't come get him on the weekends. He didn't pay child support for him. He didn't visit. Didn't get visitations. Nothing.
Yeah, that's sad.
So I guess I'm just, I don't know. I figured he would have at least said something. You know what I mean? Like this is his son. You know, it's. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, if ever there was a time to speak, I mean,
Right,
that
would
could
be
have
now.
been it.
Yeah, yeah.
Could have been it. All right. Well, I'm gonna go back to chat. Hopefully, somebody else will come up and shoot the breeze with you.
Well, yeah, that's I was gonna say. I got stuff to get done too, and it's 3:30. So, or we've been on. It's past. It's 2:45 here, but we've been on here for 3 hours and 30 minutes. So.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, thanks for letting me pop up then, and thank you, chat. One of these days, I'll figure out how to read it without booting myself. I'll get there.
Well, I was gonna say you should have a button up there on the top of your screen.
Yeah, I'm just scared to.
Oh,
I don't want to be like turning my
well, hit it
camera
now.
on
That
and
way, if
not
you fall off,
knowing it.
hit it now. That way, if you fall off, you yeeted yourself, but you know it's there. You know, so do it
All
now.
right, let me try it. I got chat
I've
at the
been-
bottom.
Yeah, I was gonna say it should have you sign in. It might have you sign in. I don't know. You might already be signed in, but you hit the chat button and it should pop up for you. Did it pop up for you?
Yeah, and I see where it says starred. That's like
Yeah.
when people give memberships. And oh shit.
Yeah, that's like any like Hippoporium says, "What's up? Greatest day ever." Butterfly Spirit member for 2 months. Is there an address to send you gifts? I want to. My address has been doxed the fuck out many times, and I mean, if you want to email me, I'll give it to you.
Look at all that beehive love.
I know. I was gonna say, can you see him back there? I didn't know you could see him all.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see them
That's
all.
pretty damn
That's
cool.
great.
That is pretty cool.
All right, well let me stop rambling so I know you'd be busy. I'll catch you guys later. Thank you, chat. And thank you for being respectful as always. You know we got a good group.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let me try to get out of here.
Yeah. Hit the lead. Gotta hit the red button. Anyways, I appreciate y'all being here. This has been a long time coming. This has been a case that we have obviously covered from the beginning with the tragedy pimps. I mean, I'm pretty disappointed that, a certain somebody didn't hold their own live stream for it, but hey, you want to roll through ours. That's cool, baby. It is what a T is. Anyhow, I appreciate y'all. We will be back on later. We got a lot to talk about, so I will catch y'all on the flip side. Have a good day, y'all.